going on, everybody? We're back again, another WrestlePurists Podcast with myself, Charlie, Joe Hulbert, Manny the Hooper, apparently. I don't know where he is right now. He's supposed to be here, but he has not showed up just yet. He may be no-showing us, and he will be fined accordingly. But Ibu, backup hangman, as some of you better know him as, he requested a link the very last minute, and we dragged him onto the show, so this is the 4 that we're starting with. Hopefully Manny shows up sooner rather than later. Of course, today we're going to cover, the main topics that have been going around. And of course, we're going to review Dynamite, and we're going to preview Collision as well, which is, of course, kicking off this Saturday. Some of the subjects we're going to go over. CM Punk's ESPN interview. Apparently it's going to be a hot one. Carlito may or may not be signed to WWE right now. Some AEW creative additions, and like I said, AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision. First things first, please like, subscribe, super chat. Always appreciate. Hope everyone's doing good. Starting with my co-host, Charlie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's been a busy one. I had to come back to uni because I'm basically just packing up half my stuff to take home tomorrow. And I was at a concert last night. I went to see Harry Styles in Wembley Stadium, so I'm very tired. But I'm excited to talk about Dynamite. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, man, it was a good episode. It was a hot episode. Yeah. A lot of praise coming out of it. A good way to go into a big week and a big week plus. Because Forbidden Door's literally like next week. So you got the Collision debut and of course a huge week next week as well. Hulbert, my guy, how you doing?
I'm terrific, mate. It feels like for a while now, we've been kind of looking ahead to this big summer, right? This crazy chaotic summer of wrestling that awaits us. And I got to say, last night, it really did feel like we were deep in it, didn't it? Like there was a run in Dynamite. Dynamite was a great show, but there was a run in it in particular where it was like every segment was newsworthy. So I'm excited to break it all down. Be back here on the Thursday show. Missed the town last week.
You did.
Thankfully, Alexia produced the first good Joe Holt performance, and we'll try and make it 2 straight here tonight. I'm glad to be back.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Ibu coming in, being the 4th man that we needed, right when you didn't even know we needed you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm actually very, very excited. This is a very, very fun week, and like Joe said, I mean, listen, there's a palpable increasing excitement for Forbidden Door season. It feels like AEW's big show of the year. Like really, you felt it last night. Really exciting show, like Joe said. Every segment just kind of felt hot in a way that was, dare I say, kind of like 2021, where stuff that maybe wouldn't have gotten over in front of flatter crowds 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, certain things. The crowd last night just ate up everything. You know what I mean? It made AEW feel like it was just like it couldn't miss, like everything was getting over. So I was super into last night's show. I'm happy to be here. And I mean, my God, my favorite wrestler of all time is coming back on Saturday. And I am personally overjoyed and elated for what this guy's going to say on TV. Can't wait for that promo. And I'm happy to be here for a few minutes. So
happy days. Yeah. Like I said at the start, Ibu is going to be joining us for the first, I don't know, see how long he's got, 10, 15 minutes, see how long we can squeeze out of him. But yeah, man, let's jump in. I want to start with the thing that's kind of took over Twitter for the past, good few hours now. So the CM Punk ESPN interview, which is apparently coming out. I guess now at this time, it's probably not going to come out tonight. So we're probably looking at tomorrow, unless it drops like imminently. But yeah, CM Punk's done an ESPN interview, and apparently it's going to be a hot one, according to reports and rumors and talk. Wade Keller kind of got the ball rolling with this one by saying, on his podcast, he basically said something to the effect of, CM Punk's done this interview and some people are going to be upset by it, basically. And, as people do, they took that and ran with it. People were talking about it for a long time on Twitter, back and forth. And then it was followed up on, basically, by Sean Ross Sapp, who reported that the interview will have him addressing the Elite, some Hangman stuff. They've been told that Punk made very clear that he didn't like Hangman Page. Punk has said that there were spots in the Double or Nothing match that he felt like Page was shooting on him and by chopping him in the face during the match. And that's just one of the tidbits, So if that's anything to go off, it is definitely going to live up to the expectation of it being a hot interview that's going to cause a lot of, let's just call it, respectful discussion. Ibu, I'll throw it to you first since we don't know how long we've got you.
Right.
What's your takeaway and feeling going into this interview that's apparently dropping tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, look, all I'm going to say is this, Monty. I'm not going to report anything. I'm just going to present to you everything that we know in order and then let people do the math with themselves, right? We know that CM Punk, one of the terms of him kind of greenlighting his return is he had to sign various legal documents kind of protecting the company, correct? We know that.
That was reported, yeah.
Yes, we know that.
Mm-hmm.
We know that this interview will come out before the premiere of a show that he's legally binded to do, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so that's 2 plus 2. Now let's do another one. CM Punk is a provocateur, correct?
Definitely.
Right. He's a provocateur. He's not a stupid person, right? Impulsive, but he's not stupid.
He has his moments, you know. He doesn't seem to be. He has his moments, like all of us, you know. But
right,
you know, his moments seem to be, you know, a bit more dramatic than ours. So
the real key here, though, guys, is, and maybe this is out or not, but this interview already happened. Yes. And AEW is very privy to what happened in this interview. You know, so look, at the end of the day, Tony Khan and Adam Hopkins know about everything that was said in this interview. And him and those people, Punk and those individuals have a very clear understanding about various things. And so I'm going to tell you this, man, it's probably going to be an interview that's honest while simultaneously, honest while simultaneously working in the benefit of whatever he plans to do on television. So, you know, I'm not suggesting Brian Pillman business, but I'm suggesting Brian Pillman business.
Well, you did tweet a gif of Brian Pillman literally earlier today.
You know what's funny, Monty?
I hate when you do that, you know. Makes the skin crawl a bit, but, you know.
That's not,
you know what you do. It's your Twitter account, mate.
Sure. You know what's funny about that, Monty? I felt old because there's people who didn't get what I was doing or saying.
Pillman's Pillman, bro. One of one, you know. No comparisons, you know. It's just... I hate it, brother. You know, MJF successfully did some Pillman stuff last year. You know, I mean,
he did.
Oh, you know how I feel about that anyway. So,
oh yeah, you hated that.
But yeah, kind of what are you expecting to drop here? Like that's of course you've strongly implied, and it seems that you have the belief, and you know, it seems everything leads to it. Of course, he'll be working. Some of the things he says in this, but like, what kind of things are you actually expecting him to say in this? Like, where do you expect him to go? How far do you expect him to go? Because that little tidbit from the Fightful report that I read about Hangman, him apparently being scared of Hangman shooting on him by chopping him in the face and stuff like that. That's going to trigger a lot of people. It's going to ruffle some feathers, you know.
It will. It absolutely will. And Punk is in a place where he really does not care how you feel about him. It's why when I saw people, making tweets about like, oh man, like he's getting booed in some of these announcement places. Like he's gonna get really mad about that. He I promise you, CM Punk's not the type of person to really care about that. He'll just lean into how you feel about him. I think he's gonna just basically be himself, which sometimes is to some people not super pleasant. I think he's gonna just talk a lot of shit. I think he's gonna be kind of a prick about it. I think he's going to answer honestly to certain questions that he's asked. But like I said, in a way that, can be spun. So example, if they ask him like what happened to Hangman Page, he'll probably just tell ESPN, well, he's a fucking prick and he stiffed me. And as you know, he went into business for himself. But what are you going to do? It's a new day.
Interesting. Joe, how interesting do you think it's going to get tomorrow with this Punk ESPN interview? If it is tomorrow, like I said,
interesting. Well, I don't know if that's the right word for it. I mean, it will certainly be newsworthy, and Punk is nothing if not very skillful at getting people talking about him. And I don't mean that as a slight. That's part of the game, right? And he's very, very good at it. And that's going to be the case tomorrow. And we're leading into Collision, and it's probably necessary on some level. I'm very hesitant to endorse this as some sort of masterful plotting because I've seen that before and I saw how it ended, and that's a dangerous road to walk in professional wrestling. So I don't know. I think this thing is, as I've said a million times, and I'm sorry I keep reiterating it because it's in a kind of inherently negative take, but I am firmly believe this thing is like doomed to fail. Like I can't see this being like a long-term solution for the way things have been. But I'm sure Punk will get folks talking, and that was the intention. So it'll probably give some heated back and forth to the conversation that we've had for the last, I believe, 9 months. Yes, 10 months ago. So I'm glad we can kind of juice up a little bit before he gets back on TV one last time. One last round before we get to the professional wrestling part of the conversation. But, I mean, it is what it is. I'm going to a show tomorrow, so I do appreciate ESPN waiting until Friday I post it.
Yeah.
Big love to them for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see.
You know what I will add? I think the timing of this, I think it also coincides pretty well with the vignette that they aired on TV. This whole time, the marketing has just been kind of like, CM Punk is back. Where's he been? We don't know, but he's going to fight Samoa Joe and these guys. And it's like, I feel like it kind of runs away from a lot of what we already know. And I'm not saying address everything on TV, but at the same time, there's a bit of disingenuity to how this rollout has been, I think. And that's why I liked yesterday's vignette the most, where he kind of was just like, I got a lot to get off my chest. Because there was this ominous and eerie vibe where now the marketing of Collision is, what the fuck is this guy going to say on TV? And I actually prefer that over like, CM Punk is back from wherever he's been, and he's going to just wrestle in a 6-man. So, you know.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. We spoke a few times about like, hopefully, CM Punk, he comes back and he gets along with everyone who he's interacting with. He kind of stays out of trouble, and hopefully this roster split, which hasn't been confirmed or it's been kind of avoided at times as well. It's kind of lost my train of thought for a sec. This Punk stuff sort of melting my brain, Yeah. Right, where was I going with this?
You were basically saying this roster split, him getting along with people, hopefully, and
hopefully he kind of kept his head down, sort of thing. Obviously, he was never like going to actually do that, he was always going to there was always going to be a comment here and it's supposed there, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then when you hear about like this, like brewing, that's about to drop on ESPN tomorrow, and it's already started some of the stuff that you kind of would worry about if you was hoping this was always going to like work out and be the happy ever after for CM Punk's return to AEW, because it seems like feathers are already going to be ruffled before the first show even kicks off. So as Joe said, if you are one of the people that are thinking the way that this is all like fell into place and unfolded with the roster split, Punk being on Collision and Dynamite doing their thing, and Punk coming back, even though, as far as we know, the terms between him and the Elite are still very, rough, to say the least. The division in the locker room, all that stuff. If he was one of those people who's worried about it being doomed to fail, then when you see reports and rumours like today, then you probably feel a bit validated in thinking that, and if you're one of the people who's kind of hoping that he kind of stays quiet and, gets... I don't want to say stays quiet because it's CM Punk, and he's not going to do exactly that. Yeah. But in terms of, like, not taking the piss, you know what I mean? Like, come on, mate, He's one of the people kind of hoping for that, then spooky times ahead tomorrow,
I think, to make an analogy that if you get, you get, and if you don't, you don't. I think this exile and return for CM Punk is like when Tupac was in jail, and when he came out, he joined Death Row Records and became a menace. He was more prolific than ever, put out his best work, but was also very polarizing and insane.
Well, this is a little different, But, we're, if that's what makes you happy, mate, Charlie, I doubt you'll be too impressed by Jesus, you will, in the middle of a whirlwind or something. But anyway, Charlie, your thoughts on what we've kind of seen being spoken about so far, because it's a weird one, because the actual interview isn't out yet. Like, you know, like we haven't wrote an article or done anything on the WrestlePurists side, and it's because the actual interview is not out yet. You know, it's all like hearsay and blah blah blah. And, you know, Sean did do he did do a good job of like following up on like the discourse that has been going on all day. But like I said, we still don't even know what the interview is going to say. But you know, where are you at the moment, Charlie, on it all?
I'm just not forming an opinion until I see what he actually says and like what the context of it all is. Mainly because I'm just too tired to care about more CM Punk drama 10 months removed from All Out. So it's whatever happens will happen, and I'm just taking it in stride at this point, because obviously they want him in the company. Like, he's gonna be like good for the company, like even if he is bad for the company as well at times. So you just got to take it for what it is at the moment and see what happens, because I want Collision to be a success, and it's built around him. So it'll be what it will be.
It is.
It certainly feels like if you pair this, you know, the kind of rumors surrounding this and the promo we actually got on Dynamite, which we'll get to obviously, it certainly feels like Punk has made a choice of sorts in terms of the direction he's going to take with this, right? Because that has been one of the more interesting parts of the conversation, to use your word earlier, Monty. It's one of the more interesting parts was like, how does Punk present himself on TV? It feels like we're beginning to get our answers on that. Like, he's not going to let this elephant stay in the room for very long, I don't think, and that will be where we'll be. I don't know how that will, you know, how everyone else will take that, but we're going to get answers pretty soon, I sense, based on the way that he's kind of, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's going to go for the jugular on Saturday, but I think he's going to put some stuff in there. It feels like that anyway, based on what he said on Wednesday. So on Wednesday's
David Zaslav of Warner Brothers Discovery is Suge Knight. $1 billion. Big TV deal. Big TV deal. Listen, that big TV deal and Punk having his own show was Punk's second lease on life. Just like Suge basically saying, I will bail you out, but you have to sign his death row contract. The Elite are Biggie Smalls. And on Collision, we are going to hear Hit 'Em Up.
I've heard some sentences in my time, folks, but that may have been a new level, that one there. The Elite of Biggie Smalls just being slipped in the middle of all of that. I mean, it was all crazy, but that was like the way you lay it. You just put that one in like it wasn't a big deal, you know.
Similarly, Pac swore Biggie shot him, and Biggie didn't shoot him. You know.
Similarly,
but at the same time, Biggie released "Who Shot Ya," leading into the discourse. You know, he played into it. You know what I mean?
You give me a headache.
I know
it's true.
What's true?
The Bucks didn't tell the media.
The Bucks are Biggie Smalls.
Listen, think about it. The Bucks didn't tell the media that Punk got cold fired, right? Punk is of the belief that this happened, right? And hates them for it, right? But at the same time, the Bucks did go into Chicago and pour gasoline on the fire. The same way Biggie dropped "Who Shot Ya?" Because it's fun. Wrestling is hip hop.
And if that's what makes you happy and helps you sleep at night, brother, I'll let you rock with it. You know, we're all friends.
I don't know what just happened.
Neither do I, Charlie. Neither do I. But anyway, CM Punk's got an interview on ESPN coming out tomorrow, and it seems like a lot of the, I was going to say the whole wrestling world, but, you know, the AEW wrestling world will be very tapped in, you know. So we'll see how that goes. Speaking of AEW, talking new things, there's been some like AEW creative additions as of late, of course, with AEW Collision starting this week. It seems like Tony is, you know, he's building a larger team. Not exactly sure who's going to fit where, etc. But of course, yesterday it was reported that Jimmy Jacobs was backstage. It was also then reported by a few places that he's joining AEW as a coach / producer. There's been further reporting on Bryan Danielson, and of course, as we've got in the thumbnail and in the title, Dax Harwood has also been involved in AEW Creative, involved with creative pitches to Tony Khan as of late, the same as Danielson. So it's, like I said, some interesting names, some more interesting than others, and I believe there's another one as well. If you people just bear with me.
Another one?
There's another one.
How do you feel right in these shows?
There's There it is. Kevin Matthews, KM, ex indie wrestler. I think he done a little stint. He done a stint Impact.
Yeah.
He's been on Dynamite. He's been I think he was like a security guy that Wardlow took out one time. He's been on Dark. But yeah, KM, Kevin Matthews, my bad. Yeah, he's got a backstage role as well. So yeah, that's like how many people did I just name? KM, Jimmy Jacobs, Dax, Brian. Yeah, man. Getting Will Washington. Yeah, that's another recent one. Go on, Ibu. What was you going to say, bro?
Fun fact: I see Kevin Matthews almost every day at my job. He runs my local indie.
Well, he's got a new job now, bro.
Yeah.
Congratulate him, man.
I just see him like, "What's up, man?" He's like, "Hey, brother." He's big as shit. He's always has like this like super slim tank top.
He's like 6'5" or some shit.
Bro, this dude is huge.
Big dude, bro. Yeah,
it's scary, bro. He looks like a monster.
Yeah, man. But yeah, he's got a backstage role in AEW, bro. So like I said, man. Wishing congratulations.
Yo, Kevin, can I have I don't even remember the name of the promotion. God damn, it's like literally in my backyard.
Tragic. You're not supporting your locals.
Yeah, I've been there 3 times. Let me run it, Kevin.
Charlie does. You know, Charlie supports the locals. She's a real wrestling fan. You know.
Eddie Edwards almost broke my knuckles at the last show I went.
Fired up.
I fist bumped. I was like, yeah, and he was like, ah, and he fucking crushed me.
That's real grabs. That's good shit, man.
He almost rocked my jaw.
Was he dressed like Dreamer, or was this when he was still like wearing tights and stuff? What was
he had a tank top and sweatpants.
Well, that makes the story less cool, but still funny.
I've received an update from Manny the Hooper. He says, this is just in, this is breaking. Oh shit, my bad. On my way. Give me 2 minutes.
I appreciate he has the humility to decide it's his bad, as though we were debating that before.
Do you think Manny forgot that he was on a podcast today?
Probably, yeah.
Possibly. We have added him multiple times, and I know he gets the notifications and yada yada yada. I said in the stream yard link, like, if he does forget, there's not really an excuse for it. You know?
Joe, literally in the WrestlePurists chat, the day that he was supposed to be with you on Grin a couple days ago, I forgot what I said in the chat. He's like, "Oh, that reminds me, I got to be with Joe in like 10 minutes." And I was just like, or whatever it was. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. Honestly, with Manny, that's the main reason you have to do the promotional tweets, just to remind him he's on them. And even that doesn't work now. So you have to really unique character, the Hooper.
Absolutely. But yeah, on the AEW creative stuff, of course, the name that's going to cause the most discussion is probably Dax Harwood, if we're being honest. Dax Harwood, of course, is pretty divisive in the AEW fan base. But of course, you know, he's a great wrestler, and I'm sure he has some good ideas. I'm sure he has some terrible ideas as well, as most wrestlers do. You know. Hulbert, where are you at on Dax the Axe on AEW creative, even if it is just being involved in the pitches that make the way to Tony Khan?
I mean, this stuff's really hard because you only ever hear guys credit themselves for the ideas that are like good, and every professional wrestler who's ever pitched an idea is declared as creative by their peers. So it's very hard to like figure out who's actually good at this and who's not. Certainly, you know, a lot of Dax's influences in the wrestling he likes, stuff that I like, and I would assume he would have ideas from those eras and those times that would pop me. But it's impossible. I mean, like some of FTR's stuff in recent times has not been particularly encouraging in that front. I mean, I love FTR, but you know, the last 2 programs there, as well, there was highs in the Jarrett and Lethal stuff. I don't think you could declare either a creative home run. But again, that's guesswork that's their handiwork. So I don't know. It certainly is interesting, all these creative movements, which I think is actually the real topic here, right? Like, rather than, because it feels like there are a bunch of different folks who, perception-wise, have a very different outlook on wrestling. Like, Jimmy Jacobs, for example, is someone who has been credited for a lot of stuff that people loved. I mean, Jericho has often said he was the guy who did the list of Jericho, right? That was all his work creatively, and then Jericho took it and made it what it was, obviously. But he's also, unless I'm mistaken, has been pretty regularly cited as like one of the driving forces behind some of the more
supernatural,
natural stuff. And in my opinion, aside, Tony Khan is like, it's been pretty clear Tony Khan isn't really into that stuff, right? Like he hasn't let Matt really do that at all since he first came in. So it's interesting. It feels like there's like a real range of philosophies that are going to collide here, which has always been the case in AEW. So adding to it is kind of intriguing to me. I'm almost wondering. It feels like it has to be a result of Collision arriving too, right? It feels like some of these guys are going to be working more on Collision.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's kind of the angle I'm kind of going at, really. So he's got Collision coming up, so he's adding troops, man. I like how you bring up like kind of the creative differences that we'd assume from the outside what these creative minds will have, because Jimmy Jacobs is definitely an interesting one. But yeah, man, we'll see how that all comes together. Ibu, where are you at on some of these names? Dax Harwood especially.
I'm pretty terrified, to be honest with you. But I'm pretty terrified.
How come?
I'm privy to a lot of things that wrestlers pitch, and they're usually very bad. To be completely honest, nothing on Dax specifically, but look, they're assembling all these names because they're changing the creative process of how they put these shows together. And I agree with the general notion that Tony needs like proper veterans to help him put the shows together. I do not know if what they're planning to do is the right way to remedy this, I guess is my feeling on it. Jimmy Jacobs, it's funny, like you said, Joe, I saw people tweet like, oh man, if you love Jericho and Kevin Owens, like it was this guy. And it's like, yeah, but he was also like one of the head writers of Raw until like 2017, and the show was pretty fucking bad. And beyond that, he was writing for Impact for the last 5 years. Have you watched an episode of Impact Wrestling in the last 5 years?
And being creatively fulfilled.
Bro, I can't do this. What's Joe? Do you know the name of the stable with Eric Young where he got killed in? Violent by Design, right?
Yeah, Violent by Design. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a Jimmy Jacobs produced segment.
Well, I mean, there are some characters you may want to consider. Well, never mind. We'll leave it there.
I don't know, man. Look, if they're like going to be writing scripts and stuff like that, maybe it helps. I'll tell you this, guys. People close to the situation, Monty, since I got to say these things now, people close to the situation have suggested to me that Danielson's stance on writers are, hey, man, they helped me come out of my shell, so I don't know. So.
Very relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I feel like that's the word of the day on this podcast.
Apparently so. I'm not sure. I'm not sure any of it's interesting, but I've used it around 6 times.
Joe, it's either you say interesting or you get spiteful. So you just
try to be polite,
Yeah.
Could you imagine Sammy and Sting in a hallway reading lines to each other?
Oh man. Interesting. Charlie, where are you at with some of these creative additions? Of course, Jimmy Jacobs is interesting. Dax Harwood, another one who is also that. And obviously Bryan Danielson. That's been reported a few times over the past couple of weeks. But like I said, that's kind of been further reported on, saying about how he's involved with the creative pitches to Tony Khan, same as Dax. So. What's your kind of takeaway from these new additions?
I'm glad that Tony's like not burning himself out anymore. I guess. Oh, Manny's made it.
Look who showed up. And he's muted.
He ain't getting a cent for the show, bro. Ain't there?
Hello.
Where you been?
Hey man, I'm sorry. That spaghetti put me out, man. I was out cold.
You know what? Never mind. Pay him. Pay the big man.
I always forget you as well, man. It don't normally have that kind of effect on me, you know.
Like a drug for Manny. He's not that cold.
It was God, bro. Blowing up his DMs, man. Manny, we're talking about AEW creative, bro. You know, there's been some. I know you're not. Sometimes you bring up a story to Manny and he's completely oblivious to it. You know, he misses a lot of things. So just to recap it for our guy Manny, Jimmy Jacobs, formerly of Impact, he was reportedly backstage yesterday. It has also been reported that he will be a AEW coach and producer. There's been some more further reporting on Bryan Danielson about how he's involved in pitches. Dax Harwood is involved in creative pitches to Tony Khan, and they've also got on their team Kevin Matthews, who's like a ex-indie guy who's been on AEW Dark and stuff a few times. He's been around the block. KM, I think his wrestling name was. Of course, on top of this, there's Will Washington. Ace Steel, apparently, is involved with AEW Creative as well. So, Manny, Tony Khan is rounding up the troops for his creative team. What is your takeaway on this?
You just named a lot of big names and a lot of important people that have done stuff in this business, except KM. I don't know who KM is, you know, but yeah, man, they're all going to do important things, you know. Dax, I got earlier by a fake tweet about Dax, you know, making, you know, it isn't my fault, you know. It was a believable tweet.
Was it?
What was
for those? So those that don't know, I believe it's been deleted now because Sean quote tweeted it saying it was fake and stuff. But someone tweeted like Dax Harwood was involved in the creative in the show closing angle last night in AEW Dynamite, and it was like Dash Fightful Select. and Manny ate it up, man. You know, like, Manny wanted to believe so bad, you know.
I quote tweeted AO and I said, "What about this?" And you know, and AO, you know, dunked on me.
Yeah, AO did bury you live on the timeline. It was quite aggressive, you know. But you deserved it, man. You deserved it. But yeah, man.
I don't know. I just think a lot of these guys are little about pro wrestling. They've been around the block for a bit, and you know, they're gonna help Tony, you know, control things. I'm pretty sure he's starting to get burned out with everything that he's doing. And with his, like, you know, other jobs, and he has Rampage, Collision, and now and Ring of Honor. I mean, there's no way he can come up with creative for all 3 other shows. So good for him. You know, he's finally bringing in some help.
Good for him. Definitely Dax the Axe, you know. He's done a lot in the business. Jimmy Jacobs was Manny put over, has done a lot in the business, you know.
Another vampire, you know, that likes blood, you know, that's good for us, you know.
Interesting. All right, let's do some super chats, man, because we haven't done any just yet. So please do keep the super chats coming. We always appreciate them massively, massively, massively. Darren Cage, $10. Everyone's talking about King being the 5th guy with the Elite to face Blackpool Combat Club / Takeshita in B&G, but Blood and Guts. There we go. B&G, but Ospreay got involved, making it 5-on-6, leaving the Elite in need of one more star, a golden star, perhaps. Very interesting. Yeah, man. Of course, Ibushi. You know, of course, that's who you're referring to. That's obviously the name people are kind of waiting to see when he shows up, you know. I think most expect it to happen. If it doesn't happen in the next couple of months, I think a lot of people would be kind of, you know, taken back by it, you know. So it does feel like this sort of story where people are just showing up out of nowhere, sort of, especially with like the angle last night, you know. Yeah. Ibushi could be one of those people that makes one of those run-ins like last night. So, yeah, man, we'll see. It seems like it's on the horizon. Showtime Spurs, $5. Appreciate you. Saw a fake rumor that Julia was headed to NXT to join the D'Angelo family. So who leaked Monty's fantasy booking and tried to pass it as fact? Bro, anyone that would believe something that absurd of a fake rumor needs get help. You know?
You heard him, man. You heard him.
I mean, come on, you gotta. I wouldn't have got by that. I mean, you gotta believe like the believable stuff.
Manny. Track record, brother. We'll leave it at that.
I mean, we just went into that, you know, managed track
Well,
record.
I mean, the Dax thing. I mean, it's more believable than Julia.
I think they're in the same realm, to be honest.
I mean, there's levels, but the issue is it's not an isolated event, man. I mean, not only do you believe them, you often bring them up live on podcasts and make us put out these fires live in the air. So we'll see. See how this develops.
It's fine.
Average Limp Biscuit Enjoyer, £4.99. Appreciate you very much, brother, as always. Custodian Brian Pillman Jr. Message for Ibu. Please don't talk about my father.
Yeah, Mr. Pillman Jr. I'm a big
live
fan
on
of
shift.
I'm a big fan of your father. I would never disparage him. And as a parting message to everybody, I just want to say that we're in the midst of a very fun time right now. And we shouldn't take it for granted because there's a lot of cool shit happening. And there's going to be some more cool shit happening this weekend. And I'll be covering a lot of it on Sunday. So
you will.
Don't miss that. And I'll catch all you guys later.
Appreciate you.
Later.
All right.
Bye.
Let's let me move. Let me do my aesthetic changes. There we go. Yeah. Appreciate you, Custodian. 6-star, $19.99. We love 6-star as always. He loves Charles. I heart WrestlePurists. We heart 6-star, of course. Hope you're doing good.
Always.
Zaid Nadi, $1.99. Appreciate you as always. Who are y'all 4 pillars of heaven, all-time faves?
Oh,
Tag
teams count as one.
Yeah, you can have tag teams. I'm gonna have the Briscoes. So if you want to tag team, you can have a tag team. You know.
Cool. Just establish that rule real quick.
Yeah, it's broken.
I'm locked in 3.
I've got 3.
I've got 2. I've got Briscoes and Joe.
I got Joe, King, and Roddy. My 4th seed is.
Fuck, who did I have this one? I've got the Bucks,
Flair,
Christopher Daniels, and fuck, who was my 3rd? I've just forgotten. Rey Mysterio. I don't know who my 4th would be.
Oh fuck, Ray. That's tough. Yeah, Ray belongs on any of these, really. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
He's not even a subjective matter. It's just Ray.
My 4th might be Okada.
that's a good one.
Here, I'm gonna pull out the Hoopers of Honor, and I'm gonna look at the banners that I made. Obviously, I'm gonna go with Nigel.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with, out of all these names, Kurt Angle, Redacted, and the 4th
ultimate
one.
meathead wrestler lineup from Hoover. This is beautiful stuff. Go on. What's the last one? Who we got, man?
4th one. I'll go with. This is like you have to. When you do it, you have to like put the years. I put Shinsuke Nakamura only New Japan. So, I only want New Japan Shinsuke.
I love that can't be implied. He has to actually. I would say Terry Funk would probably be my 4th. I think
that's a good. Yeah, of course.
So many good wrestlers.
Oh no, man.
Agreed.
Flair and Briscoes are like my absolute definites. The other 2 will probably be interchangeable, to be perfectly honest. Depending on what mood I'm in that week.
Yeah.
I know I said Samoa Joe, but I love Joe, man. I love a lot of these guys. Need that cliff that Joe always posts.
Yeah.
That guy getting
so many of them.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you, Zaid. Custodian again. Appreciate you, $1.99. First by parts. Now you're comparing Phil to Tupac. Yeah, Ibu was. Man, you missed it. It was filth. It was filth, man.
I was so confused.
I'd like to apologise on behalf of the WrestlePurist brand. Ibu had to subject some of your ears to what he was cooking then. Yeah. Brucey Beats, appreciate you, $1.99. How many kicks until Kenta breaks Phil? Over under 5. Listen, man, he will eat those kicks, bro. He will eat them.
Look, man, if Hangman couldn't KO Punk, I don't think Kenta can. So
I owe him. Like he's Arturo Gatti now. Like he's fucking.
Listen, Punk didn't get put out cold in UFC either, you know. Got tapped out, and he has one of the worst, probably the worst fight in UFC history, you know.
Kenta still, CM Punk still has his chin, man. You know, most UFC fighters don't have him. CM Punk left the UFC with his chin intact, so you know it's just the rest of his body, you know, that isn't there.
Match Fan 84. Appreciate your $1.99. Fantasy booking Max King tag team title run. Hulbert, this seems like a special for you, mate.
I have bad news. I think it's a long way away. I think Moxie's going to be a heel for the foreseeable future. I think we're getting the sequel to their feud in 2020, and I think it's going to be roles reversed. And I think Moxley's going to make his choice. And thus far, I have loved John Moxley as a heel, but it's kind of up and down in terms of whether he can get the people to really boo him. When he finally pulls the trigger on Eddie because he's Blackpool Combat Class, his family, that's going to be a great moment. And I did a tweet earlier, folks. I've done a lot of those this week. I apologize, but I've decided, and you guys know I have no bias in this regard. I've made this decision as a professional. I believe that John Moxley should actually face Eddie Kingston at Wembley Stadium.
Yes.
Now again, beautiful.
No
completely
bias.
Unbiased.
Yeah, no bias whatsoever. No personal feelings at play, but actually that'd be very good. You know, it'd be a good idea. So I think you're going to get a feud first. We'll get to in a couple of years, Maz fan, but for now, I think it's going to be a big feud for Eddie, who I think, and we'll get to this later, as long as he's not too physically affected, and hopefully if he's feeling good, I think that injury may prove to be like a real blessing in disguise for King, the one he's just coming back from, because we all got a chance to miss him, and I think it's more apparent than ever that there's a real opening for Eddie to be a major player on the show, and that was always the case.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't know what you got until it's gone, you know. So hopefully Eddie's feeling good and is ready for a big run, because I think he's got one ahead. Honestly, he'll give it a big time for him.
I'd love to see it. It's almost. Go on, man. Go on.
I need Eddie Kingston to come up with the jacket that says the opposite of Def Jutsu, 0 fucks given. I need him to come out his own version of that hoodie, because with the mentality that Moxie's in right now, he's gonna fuck Eddie up. So
Manny, there are so many things you do on these shows that I love, but my absolute favorite is when you break down the wrestling like it's a shoot fight. Like the idea of Eddie, he's just fucked, man. I'm always gonna just maul him, you know. I respect.
I mean, you see the waddle lariat that he did? He waddled Claudio to the lariat.
He always does that. He takes those little steps. Yeah, he always does that.
And just hit him, bro. It's crazy.
He's a beast. Yeah, he is a beast.
God bless Eddie.
Yeah. Everyone loves the Mad King. Pizza Dog 4.99. Appreciate it as always. Can we get everyone to do their best Juice Robinson impression of them yelling Ricky? Absolutely.
Do you know how high he goes? That dude's voice is insane. Manny, you probably have the best shot because you can go pretty high. Go on, mate. Go on, Manny. Go on, take a drink. Go on, mate. Here he goes. Look at Hooper. Look how serious Manny is, man. Go on, son.
You really give it a good go, didn't you?
I told you can go very high. I've seen it before. Beautiful work, Manny.
Oh, man.
I will not be attempting. I was at a concert yesterday. My voice will break. I'm not doing it.
Look, my voice is my living, folks. You know, I got paid a bill saying that.
Juice Robinson doing his best Cat Slater impression. Yeah.
Indeed, yeah. That's exactly what it is, dude.
Yeah, 100%. You know, which is incredible because it's on US television. Who have no idea.
It's an unintentional spot. He's not even aware he's doing it, but it's absolutely all you can think of. But nonetheless, carry on, Money.
Absolutely. But Pizza Dog, that's the best you're going to get, my brother. The Near Harley, $2. Appreciate it. If Hobbs got the Wardlow push, Hobbs would be a star. Wow. Yes. I don't know about that because the Wardlow push was
well,
yeah.
If Hobbs got a consistent push.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be a better way of phrasing.
Even forgetting the push part, just getting him some consistent TV usage would be a start at this point. He's so on and off. It's a shame.
Hobbs would, Wardlow would love Hobbs' opponents for the TNT title, just because Hobbs wrestled Phoenix,
Penta.
Yeah. He wrestled other. I don't remember the reign, but he wrestled good guys. And I just remember every week just being comparing it to Wardlow's shitty wrestlers that he wrestled. So, it is besides Christian rules. So,
you're getting a bit spiteful there, man.
Yeah.
Andrew the Giant, Appreciate your £5. How fired up are you for Cody versus Dominic? I'm convinced Dom's winning. No, I don't think Dom's winning, bro. I mean, he'll be, we're gonna be there, myself and Hulbert. There'll be a lot of heat in the building. I'm sure it'll be a fun time live. In terms of match quality, I'm not exactly expecting a 4-star classic, but I'm expecting it to be at least like entertaining, and a lot of shithousery and dramatics and fucking, it should be a fun time.
It's one of those things that I'll probably thoroughly enjoy it once it arrives, but I can't, it's not something I'm going to be thinking about once until I'm actually in the building. It's coming on. It's not. But it will be, as you're right, there'll be a lot of shithousery and it will be a good time. And I think you said this to me, Monty, off the air, but I'd rather we get this than Cody just being one of the 6 men in the ladder match. At least you get full Cody bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely, that's what I'm
for it. Yeah, I'm for it. It'll be a good time.
I'm still kind of holding out hope that Brandy gets involved, because that would be like the ultimate shithousery.
That'd be so funny.
Joe, what are you?
The chat is some extraordinary.
Frantically looking at you, scaring me.
Scaring you. Just the shit that's going on in the chat, bro. We'll get there, folks.
We'll get there. But yeah, Cody versus Dominic, Money in the Bank. Me and Joe will be there. All right, scary stuff here. Alfred, 4.99. Appreciate you. I think if it ain't Joe Hulbert, my number 2 employee of WrestlePurists, panty dropper himself, Mr. Strongman, as 51% owner of WrestlePurists, I say flex them muscles.
I've seen some super chats in my time on this program, and I've been on many, many shows, and I've seen many, many things. I think this has got to be a new low or high, depending on how you look at this kind of performance art. I don't know where to start. I'm just saying no. I'm going to let that speak across the board for everything involved in the message.
Fair enough.
I don't even know if I'm thankful for it. I mean, I should be, but I don't know if I can be. So, have a wonderful evening.
Beautifully put, Joe. Beautifully put. This is a chance to producer. When we were talking about AEW Creative, he sent in a live chat which I thought was interesting. It caused a bit of chat in the live chat as well, saying they need some women on creative. Bad, of course, talking about AEW. Of course, it'd be ideal if there was, a lot of women on the creative who were doing great shit and stuff. I'm not sure who's actually involved creative from the women's side of AEW. I don't know how far Maria Kanellis helps out. We know Madison Rain's a coach. We don't know if she throws an idea out there or anything, But yeah, Joe, do you think this is a potential problem, or a potential thing that needs addressing?
Well, again, it is worth reiterating what you just said. We're not exactly certain of who's in the process, right? There are, so there's definitely someone in the coaching team, right? And unless Sarah Stock came in recently too, right? I know Madison's there, and so it's hard to say who's involved in the creative process. If no one is, then I think it absolutely is an issue. I don't think it's a potential issue. I think it is an issue, especially when it'd be different if Tony was booking the show with one other person. But if you're going to have an army of you need.
We just went through 5 people.
You need to have different voices. Absolutely, you do. And I think it is important. It's just hard to talk on with super confidence because it seems like there's so many people involved. For all we know, there are already women involved in the process. So I don't know.
Charlie, as the only lady here, I was going to say the first lady, but Isha took that title a while ago. But as our very respectable lady WrestlePurists member, what's your kind of takeaway on this one?
I think they probably do have people. I mean, there's been more women's storylines on TV, for better or worse, this year. Everyone's entitled to their opinions on that. So there has been improvements in the division. Whether there are improvements we want to see or not, again, that's a subjective thing. So I think they do have people involved in it. But I do agree that there needs to be more women actively known if they're involved, because it's just good to know these sort of things, who's actually involved in this sort of thing. But I think it's more about having people that are able to well structure the division And if that's a man, then it's a man. Like, I just want the division to be as good as it can be. So I don't really care who's in charge of it.
Yeah, as long as it's good what you're seeing, and everyone's being pushed the way they should be, then it's kind of one of those things. Manny, do we need more women on AEW Creative?
Yes.
Good answer.
Right answer, Manny. I'm proud of you, man.
You never know. You never know with Manny the Hooper. This one popped me, but he's no longer here. When he was talking about wrestlers' pictures. Very fair point where Andrew the Giant.
That was a lob for sure, right? Like, I was like, well, let's see some of these pictures, brother.
Wait, what did he say?
He was basically explaining that he hears a lot of the wrestlers' pitches and he feels like, most of them suck. And I think we all had like the instinctual, like, well, it depends who's saying that, really. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, interesting pictures from EB of WrestlePurists indeed. Willie, 199, appreciate you very much. My new agenda, Wardlow invoking option C at All In.
It's not canon in AEW.
I don't know what that means.
What did you say, Manny?
It's not canon in AEW.
Oh, canon. I was I'm at All In, so I'd rather not. They could do that like Full Gear or something.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, he's in the middle of this feud with fucking Christian Cage / Luchasaurus. And, we'll see where that one goes.
Are you more excited for an MJF Adam Cole rematch at Wembley now, or are you excited for the match?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I was last night. We did our preview. Obviously, we'll get.
Yeah, I know you guys see. You took Seth Rollins over him.
Yes, but as usual, you've erased half the conversation and kept the other half. We also said that we felt stylistically they probably could have a really good match. With that being said, I didn't think they were capable of the match they had last night. Someone in our chat, actually, and if they're in here now, they need to credit themselves. They said they may do a time limit draw. And I was very close to actively pointing the comment out and being like, well, hold on. It's not, it's not, don't put that on me. I'm so glad I didn't because, to say that over-delivered would be a huge understatement. So, yeah, I'm genuine. I mean, we'll get into it, but I will.
Let's get into it now.
Let's go.
Let's move into our Dynamite. We'll do the Dynamite review. So, of course, the show opens with the match we were just talking about: MJF versus Adam Cole in a world title eliminator match, time limit draw. Cole wanted to go 5 more minutes, begged MJF to go 5 more minutes, but he slid out the ring because he's a snake. Didn't give the fans what they wanted. Looks like there's going to be a rematch for sure. And yeah, like we said, most people absolutely loved this, over-delivered. Like I said, time limit draw, and it was absolutely worthy of that, which, as Joe kind of pointed out, I don't think many people were expecting that to be the case going into it. So, yeah, man, very good, very, very, very good, very good opener to this show. Charlie, I'll throw it to you to get us started.
So I didn't watch this live because I hadn't made it home yet, but when I watched it today, the match it over-delivered, and I already knew that they were going to have a good match because it's MJF and Adam Cole, like they're good wrestlers. I thought it was really well laid out. It was a very smartly wrestled match, and I'm going to give MJF the credit for that. I'm not going to go too much into it, but I think MJF kind of led a lot of that match. And if just watching it normally, you can't really tell, but if you know what you're looking for, I feel like MJF led a lot of it, and it was just really fucking good. I don't like ref bumps, but it was really well utilized here. And then just the ending was great, and I'm looking forward to a rematch. I feel like there's a lot more they could do, which is crazy to say because they went kind of nuts. So.
Yeah, absolutely. They like we've all said so far, they've over-delivered. So, very good stuff. Manny the Hooper, were they hooping?
Oh, not in the first 5 minutes. I thought the first 5 minutes was really boring with MJF doing all the heel shtick and then working over his arm. I thought that was real boring and it just felt kind of weird. But once they moved past that and just had an awesome 25-minute end to an epic. It was weird because it felt like a real epic match, but just in 30 minutes. So
just 30 minutes.
Well, I mean, come on.
What happened to the game, Joe?
I know.
Yeah. But I'm gonna thank MJF for bringing this side out of Adam Cole, and also Chris Jericho. He got him ready, man. He got him ready for this big match. He made him remember who he was in that mixed tag.
That's definitely a way to look at it.
That's only a Manny the Hooper takeaway, you know.
Manny having to cough, and so it sounded like he got emotional as he talked about MJF bringing out a Cole was incredible.
Because I mean, fuck man, he hit him with the shoot super kick, busted his mouth open. I just took this match to another level, and then I'm always gonna remember that sequence where they're exchanging elbows, chops, and then Adam Cole can't handle it until he does into MJF. It's a rolling elbow. Then Adam Cole does the multiple super kicks, just shorten the tree down, and then they come back with the monster lariat. I mean, that was awesome. The time coming down, bro, that was just an awesome match, and now I just can't wait for the rematch. And now I'm more convinced than ever that Adam Cole is world champion material. So let's ride, guys. Let's ride.
Fired up, Holbert. Yeah, man, we was kind of. I think it's safe to say on the podcast yesterday we kind of didn't know what we was going to get. We was kind of worried, but also kind of optimistic. It was kind of a flip of a coin of how we thought this was going to end up. But yeah, man, again, over delivered, man. What's your take on this one?
Yeah, it's really always good to have like a deal like this where it feels like everything involved worked. Firstly, start with Adam Cole, because I'm always the first one to critique him. It's only right you praise him in these kind of situations, right? Like this was a pretty extraordinary effort considering how like little ring time he's had since he came back, and more importantly, ring time where he's looked like himself. To go into a match like this, and let's be real, play punching bag for a lot of it. He was selling an awful lot in this match, and he did so terrifically. And I think we got the first real look here at something that many of us hoped when he was on his way back, which is the idea that as a babyface, it would hide some of his weaknesses in ring and actually allow him to be himself on offense and let the people cheer him. You know, one of my issues with Adam Cole's matches previously was I didn't love the way he would conduct the heat segment. Well, here, he just had to sell, and the people already love him. I mean, there was the one moment where Max had his submission on, the place was rocking for Cole to get through. I mean, it was incredible. He was over huge, and he always is. There's not a surprise there, but I thought he was terrific, especially considering the circumstances. MJF, to Charlie's point, produced, I thought, one of the better heat segments I've seen in recent times. Now, the way the match had to be, it didn't have a ton of consequence because they had to go long. So by the time it got to the end, it was back and forth anyway. But he was awesome in that segment. And I know we talk about Max's promos a lot, and I maintain my stance on a lot of that stuff, but I'm not breaking any news. I'm not trying to do the bit of like people underrate him, bro. But in ring, damn, that guy's great. I mean, he's a special pro wrestler. So both parties were terrific and just absolutely killed it. But also credit to the booking. This was an inspired, daring play. A program that Tony clearly wanted to do. He is now, by gambling and trusting the guys to prove him right in wanting to see it, he's now made the rest of us convinced too. If you'd have built this traditionally, without this match along the way, we could have easily been dismissive of it and been surprised when it got to the pay-per-view that it was good. But now you have myself, who's not a huge Adam Cole fan. I absolutely want to see this rematch. They killed it, and I think Charlie's right. I think they have an even bigger one, in them ahead. So an absolute hit across the board, worked the treat. Live crowd loved it. I loved it. Both wrestlers look great, and a daring choice in terms of creative. I think we're going to remember it. It's always nice to have those play calls. Let's be clear. If you'd have said to me this is what they were doing last night, I would have absolutely scoffed at you. So I'm thrilled to be wrong because it was not only the right choice, it was the perfect choice. So a home run all round.
I want to bring up another spot that didn't get brought up was the Eddie Guerrero spot when they do the title thing where they throw the title and they pretend. I thought that was so awesome that Adam Cole hit MJF with it because it kind of still shows that he's kind of like that asshole kind of thing. He's like, yeah, I might be a babyface now, but I know the same playbook. You're not going to get me with it. So I like how because you know how most times when they just turn babyface, they forget all their past deeds and all that. I'm glad that Adam Cole didn't. So that's really cool. So
yeah, it was a good start. It's obviously a very important part of the match. MJF just completely failing to try and set up Adam Cole. He's got a big part. It was good stuff, man. The crowd loved it, and Where were they last night?
Washington.
Washington, DC.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course, because AO was going to go, wasn't it? So,
Oh, man, that's a liar.
very spiteful, man. All right, the next segment was Sammy Guevara in-ring promo. Sammy comes out, he talks about the highs and lows and his ambitions to be a world champion one day before being interrupted by Darby Allin. He comes out and challenges him to stop basically being Jericho's sidekick, mentions how Sting sees Darby as his equal and not as a sidekick, yada, yada, yada. Jericho then comes out, asked Sammy Guevara why he never called him when he was chasing MJF for the world title and said if he would have said that Sammy would be champion now if he asked for his help. Sammy Guevara then replied by saying, why didn't Jericho call him? And if he did, maybe he wouldn't have lost to Adam Cole twice. The crowd does the whole oohs and the ahs, blah, blah, blah. Jericho says maybe they should team together and have a match to show who's boss, which was an interesting turn, I thought. Darby then interrupts again, says the magic is gone whenever Jericho is in between the ropes. Jericho then says him and Sammy should take Darby a 2-on-1. Sting then comes out. Sting and Jericho have a face-off. Jericho backs off. Jericho leaves on his own, which obviously leaves Guevara, Sting, and Darby in the ring. So Guevara didn't leave with Jericho. And yeah, man, it's just mainly more planting the seeds of that split happening imminently. So where do we see this one going, Hulbert?
It's interesting because I actually think there is an argument they should try to actually have Chris and Sammy team for a little bit, because I think it would probably help Chris to not be in another extended singles feud for a while. But they feel like they're too far along with the Sammy thing and they wanted him to be a babyface, which I'm not, and we've talked about this previously, I'm not as immediately averse to that as some are, because I kind of feel like with his strengths as a wrestler, it's kind of probably best, honestly. He let him do all his moves and stuff, and people will cheer for them anyway, as we've seen recently. So I think they're going to just go straight into the Jericho Sammy feud, to be honest. But as for this individual segment, I thought this was terrific. And I can tell you that, in speaking of things I got wrong, I was not expecting to say that about the segment that was advertised with a Sammy Guevara returns graphic. I mean, I thought this was really fun, and it followed up on some things that had been kind of unsaid previously, right? We talked about Sammy being out of the JAS and him not out of the JAS, but him kind of being separate. And we got to follow up on that. And the Jericho Sting deal was a visual, if nothing else. To me, it's for all the many fair criticisms that surround Chris Jericho at this point, you still pop for that, right? Chris Jericho and Sting being in the ring at this point, this is not...
Especially when Jericho rocks up in those heels, bro.
Yeah.
You know? Guy had 4-inch heels on, bro. It's crazy.
Them getting a full minute of time out of the fucking baseball bat, standoff. I thought this was really, really fun. So I like this a lot. I'm somewhat intrigued as to the direction. So another hit for sure.
Yeah, it was pretty good stuff, man. Manny, did you like this? Because we never know where you're going to fall on these in-ring segments, man.
Yeah, it was good. Jericho coming out looking like the Terminator with those big heels.
Wait.
Just
carry on, man.
He was giving me Arnold vibes. I mean, I don't know. And then we should have known this was happening, because earlier this week he said that he was never going to wrestle Sting. And then, obviously 2 days later, this is what happens. This is why Jericho's a wizard, man. He just knows what he's doing. And
yeah.
I don't know. It'd just be kind of funny to see. It'd be kind of awesome to see the Sex Gods have one more run, and then see it just end. Because honestly, I thought Jericho was going to Judas affect him yesterday. So I'm glad they did it, and just have one more tag run, and then it just leads to a Sting and Darby match. Sting and Darby versus the Sex Gods match. So
yeah, could be definitely. The only thing I would say about the Sammy thing and where he'll fall in by the end of all this, babyface, heel, blah, 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 some of the points that Joe was touching on. The only thing I would say is definitely some of his strengths and characteristics would absolutely suit him being a babyface, when you look at it on paper. But when you see it in action, none of it feels authentic at all. Especially this recent effort to try and get him over as a babyface. It's almost like it's so blatant, like the stuff with the stuff on All Access, of course, I'm sure Sammy was being real in those, and he weren't like fully faking it or anything, but just like the emphasis put on it,
Sure.
Then of course the stuff now. Then even in the promo segment yesterday, like Darby was like, "Everyone loves you now, right?" or whatever he said. And not half the fucking building booed him. Bro.
It was a very mixed reaction.
Honestly, it works when they let him wrestle and he does every move in his arsenal. They inevitably cheer him just because he can do some really cool shit.
Definitely. Yeah.
And when they do the character side of it, it's much more challenging. The reaction when Sami said about winning the belt is very noticeable. Like, well, what about all that? So that's what I guess my thing is. I don't think the heel thing was nearly as like, because people used to boo him, but folks used to overdo it so much. Like, oh, this is a real heel. It's like, well, I mean, not really. I mean, it was. So I don't think they've ever nailed the presentation of him as a character. But I totally get your point, Monty. I agree, actually.
It's a tough one because it's kind of, you just kind of alluded to it in the sense of like, you should have. I don't want to say shut up and wrestle, but
right. You just have to play a guy's strengths. Like he's, especially when you put him in those multi-man matches, he always gets over huge with the crowd because he's explosive. He is. He's a fun wrestler to watch. So I don't know. We'll see if they figure it out.
A tough one. He definitely seems like the kind of guy that likes to go out there and cut promos and talk when he gets the opportunity to. So we'll see where it goes. Charlie, did I ask you about this one?
No, but it's okay.
Go on. If you got anything to add,
I don't have many thoughts. I just think them using Darby as the person that's like finally drawing Sammy out of like the JAS or whatever is a good choice. Because if anyone can get Sammy over, it will be Darby. Like, I don't think there's many other people you could pair him with that would like be able to help with that. Because the crowd loves Darby and Sting like no matter what. So I feel like it's a pretty good choice in that respect. But yeah, the segment was fun for what it was. I liked it.
What's interesting at that point is what was the pay-per-view where they teamed up together? Sting, Darby, and Sammy.
That was a while ago.
Because that was a thing, right? That was a pay.
Yeah,
when Sammy was like TNT champ.
Sounds like a lucid dream.
I think it was
Revolution. Yeah,
Revolution 2022. I think just before he dropped the TNT title. So while I'm not sure, Tony Khan might not even be aware of this. I don't know. I mean, he has a lot of spreadsheets. He probably knows. But my point being that like there is some, and they do kind of feel like they've done the dance an awful lot. Those two, Sammy and Darby, that way. So it's not only a good play in terms of what you mentioned, Charlie, and like everyone likes that act, but there's also some logic to it. It's pretty neat dynamic of play. I mean, I don't know what the long term is with that, but yeah, something to be said, I guess. A nice quirk to Hill.
Yeah, man. Well, like I said, we'll kind of see how it plays out with him because he's definitely an interesting case to look at for all the reasons we've just mentioned. All right, next up on Dynamite was a Sonada video package. This was the first of a couple New Japan video packages that were setting up Forbidden Door matches. IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Sonada says there will be an open challenge for his world title at Forbidden Door. That, of course, caused quite a bit of buzz. And, of course, this was acted upon a bit later in the show. Next up, we had Sting, Darby, Orange Cassidy and Keith Lee versus the Mogul Embassy. Sting, he pinned Brian Cage. A weird note during this match. So, like, during the match, the word no just came up on screen. No one knows what this means. It showed up on every broadcast as well. So it weren't just like, so-and-so got it wrong, like TSN fucked it up, or, you know what I mean? It weren't like one of those, like, someone was in our mentions as well and said, like, it transitioned in and out. Like, it weren't just a thing that just kind of, you know what I mean? I don't know. I haven't watched it back, to be honest. But if that is the case, that definitely adds to it being intentional.
I know this is the first time it's happened either. I think this has happened before.
Yeah, I was going to say, it happened another time. It happened during the Four Pillars program. I forgot what segment it was. They were breaking it down yesterday. The guys in the Late Night Green Discord. So they were talking about
breaking it down.
They were talking about it. They started talking about lore, and I just like zoned out. I said, "Oh no, you guys aren't going to talk about lore after a great Dynamite like that." I mean,
so I'll ask the chat because we seem pretty stumped. You know, what's this all about? I want some guesses in the live chat, please, people, because oh no, man, I don't know what don't know what we was cooking there, you know. But while you guys send in some guesses, let's talk about the match.
Yes.
Mogul Embassy, Sting, Darby, Orange, Keith Lee, Big 8 Man. Yeah, man. Done what they needed to do out there. It's always great to see Sting. Hooper, what did you think of this one?
Monte, I'm going to let you know right now. This is 4 stars. 4 stars, man. This was everything you wanted and everything you could want. You have Brian Cage looking like a bootleg Sting that you find like at the supermarket. You know, one of those fake toys. I didn't even know what he was at first, and then I realized he was dressed as Sting. And then you got my boy Toa Leone. He did not give a fuck about Sting, man. He went out there and fucked him up.
He killed him at one point in the corner.
Yeah, when he threw him to the opposite side of the turnbuckle, and Sting hit the turnbuckle and fell. You just see his face like this. I'm gonna look like that, like he was watching a horror movie. And then, he crawled himself back to the other corner and then just got taken out again by him. So, this match was awesome. The Embassy have incredible tag team wrestling moves. And all these maneuvers, like that triple power bomb into the double stomp was awesome. And I'm praying for my boy Keith Lee, man. He looked gassed out there, too. So, I don't know what...
Look, man. Love to the big man. Shit happens. That monkey flip spot is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. Did you see hit his heels? That was incredible.
Did you
Respect
see
to the big man.
I forgot what he was doing. He tripped on his own feet and just happened to land on Swerve when he was on the turnbuckles. Fucking ruled, bro. I don't even know what he was trying to do. If somebody can clip it.
Bless him.
This match was just chaotic awesomeness. So there you go.
It was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. I don't really have a lot to say about it. I just thought it was a fun time.
There we go. Hulbert, you got anything you want to add, mate?
No, it was a really fun party match, and I will say, while I agree with Manny, it was
4 stars.
It was no. I do think it's quite incredible that they actually let Tarlana do something with Sting, and this is not me talking in hindsight. I try to stress very clearly that I thought this would be a bad idea, and I will admit, as much as I like Tarlana, I was surprised that the Irish whip was the spot that they managed to, because poor Sting was. They were having a time out there. That was actually a little scary, but it seemed like everyone was okay. So fuck it, it's not my job. I don't produce these matches. I want to sing a couple of things. The Embassy thing is a really fun act, obviously, and Manny's right about the 10 offense. Brian Cage always looks big. Was I imagining shit, or did he look insanely big here? He looked absurd.
Fresh out the 80s, bro. You know,
he leveled up. So there's that, I guess. Bishop Khan is a real fucking wrestler. That dude's he's got something. I think he's a talent really worth investing in. And Toa also, but Toa's just a lot more green and raw. So I like that team a lot.
That's
obviously, I've said that before. But Khan has got a real TV polish, you know? He really feels comfortable. He's got certain poise. I thought he was very good here. So really fun match.
Yeah, he's really solid. And Toa, he's green, he's wild, he's chaotic, but that's the point, Joe.
He is. I just would keep him away from Sting.
Like I said, bro, you nearly killed him in the corner.
He did. He
did. All right, man. So let's see what the chat said about No Gate, or whatever we're fucking calling this. Scroll up a little bit. It happened in April. Yeah. Kane. It's 100% AEW production. It even showed on the big screen in the arena. Didn't know that. It's a timeout system on broadcasting. It's not supposed to happen. It's Goldberg. It's the fifth pillar. In April, it said yes, then no. Sami Callihan, hacker gimmick. So
something should remain sacred at Impact. We don't. There's no need to explore different options of that. So let him do his revolver and Impact gimmick. Just let it keep it there.
Man, we'll see what happens. It could just be nothing again. just a mistake. But this is not the first time it's happened. It's just weird. It's weird. I'm not saying it's going to lead to anything. It's just weird, Aye, a couple super chats. Bruh, $5. Y'all see them quarter hours. Elite and BCC bombed. MJF being the top draw the past few weeks. I love the main event, by the way, but agendas come first. I haven't actually seen them, so I'm guessing that it kind of followed the usual trend of the opening quarter being the big quarter and the last quarter being the low quarter.
Yeah.
Of course, if you're an Elite, you'd expect Elite being the stars that they are, and the Blackpool Combat Club being the stars that they are, but they may be able to at least hold the quarter hour or even boost the quarter hour. But
it was bad this week. I've seen them. I have nothing to say.
Also, as I was finishing my sentence, and I just saw Charlie like it's not good. It's not looking good.
It was rough.
I didn't even see the main event quarter hour because I just zoomed in on the Jake Hager match to see if I could use that for some performance art, and saw that it absolutely died, and was like, well, fuck it.
Well,
Nothing I can do with this.
There's no way that number is real in the chat.
I don't. I need to get someone
it
DM me on Twitter or some shit. I don't know.
I don't know if I saved it.
I can
someone.
I don't think I did because I was upset.
Yeah, someone send it to me, man, and we'll talk about it. Darren Walker, £5. The biggest prize in New Japan and the challenger is Jungle Boy. Utter madness it is.
Oh,
very
come on.
spiteful.
There's been some shitters that face for their belts. So I mean,
absolutely.
At least Jungle Boy isn't a shitter. He's just.
Yeah,
he's just a good worker.
Did you folks see Sonata in that suit? I might change to turn a corner on this one. He looked like a fucking world champion. I was ready.
Yeah.
Oh, I tried.
He looked like a star.
He did. I'm in. I'm in on this deal. It's a good idea.
He didn't get a pop like a star. It was real quiet in there.
That's a nasty agenda.
It's so unnecessary. They didn't pop for the Sonata 15-second promo.
They pop for Tanahashi.
He's Hiroshi Tanahashi, man. Come on.
You've got to also think about the fact that Sonata has a new look. They might not have realised who it was straight away.
Did not mean to put that comment on the screen, but it's part of the ratings discourse. Vanderpump Rules. It is a big show. It is a big show indeed. But yeah, that was an accident. My bad, people. All right, back to Dynamite. The Guns got backstage promo. Renee Paquette asked them what their relationship is with Jay White. They act oblivious to it and put themselves over as the best brother tag team in AEW, and also call out the Hardys whilst also calling them washed.
This was not on purpose. It's just one of the only shirts I had here.
As I said, that would be a great bit if it was on purpose. A Guns promo, inspiring your fashion choices. But yeah, Charlie, what do you think of the potential Guns versus Hardys match?
I don't want it. I just don't think we need it. It's not even really anything against the Guns at this point, which is kind of crazy to say when you're talking about them having a match with the Hardys, but I just don't want to see the Hardys wrestle. So I don't want to see the match. Personally.
I mean, I don't think many can blame you. The Hardys are definitely in the closing stretch of their days in the ring,
Well, it's really cool.
God bless. God bless Matt, man. Fucking, he tries, He can barely. Sometimes it looks like he barely walk out there, man. And obviously Jeff Hardy, most wrestling fans definitely hold a very special place of sympathy for him. And he's also very beat up as well. And the Guns aren't exactly like a like the Bucks. You can just be you can throw them with an average or below average team, and they'll make it work. They'll get a Bucks match out of them, and it'll be at least pretty good. The Guns themselves, they're not I don't want to say the shitters or anything, but they're not super experienced, really polished workers yet. So this could be very interesting. Again, using that word. Manny, Guns versus Hardys, what does this do for you, mate?
Absolutely nothing, bro. Who needs this? I got nothing to say, man. It left me speechless.
Lost for words.
Holbert?
On tonight's edition of Ring of Honor TV, the Work Horsemen The Workhorseman called out FTR, which is my statement on this segment. Exactly right, Manny.
We're finally getting it.
Jim Crockett Promotions rides again, folks. So
that's good shit, man.
Honestly, the Guns got a good promo. The match they're building to, I don't, absolutely not. But the Guns are good promos, so there's that, I guess.
We still don't know if they're in Bullet Club Gold.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
That's like the main takeaway. Like for me, I'm just like, are they in or not? Do I have to go all in on this tag team?
You don't want them in, right? I feel like that would be better. That would be a stretch for Brand, I feel, Charlie.
If they're in, like guns up. But if they're not, then I ain't gonna.
That's commitment. I respect that.
That's Charlie, bro.
I respect it.
I'm just glad that they kind of alluded that they might not be in it. So I'm gonna go with that they're not in it. So
yeah, they're actually completely oblivious, yeah. I didn't know what was going on.
Wait, never mind. We can just keep going.
Because Collision on Saturday actually, and then attack FTR in the match. Anyways, but yeah,
we'll see.
Was he here when I said the Gun Club Bullet Club shirt would sell a lot of money?
I don't think so, and I'm happy I was. I'm happy I wasn't a part of that. So, yeah. Wardlow successfully defends his TNT Championship versus Jake Hager. Yeah, man, they did the thing out there, They had the TNT Championship match. Hulbert, he was talking about Champions Carnival and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What's your takeaway on this one, man?
That wasn't my most accurate preview point. It was alright. I don't really understand why Wardlow worked like a control segment and did the Garvin Stomp in the middle of the match and like worked Hager over like he was going to make a comeback. I was kind of baffled by that, but
same.
The crowd seemed confused by it also. But I mean, they got with it in the end. Like, I think it was bad. It was just absolutely nothing. There's no way I remember this match in like 2 weeks. And look, obviously I was doing a bit last night. I wasn't expected to be good, but I think they would be well served to let Wardlow be more of a meathead wrestler than what they're currently trying to, develop him as, because his high spots always get a great reaction. And he's very, very capable of them. But it's the stuff in between, and they need to kind of figure out how he's going to wrestle, I think, moving forward. Because he's not bad by any means. It's just more a stylistic choice, I think. But it was right.
Yeah. Manny, you a fan of this?
Look, usually I'm not gonna blame Jake Hager.
Either.
Usually he wrestles to the level of his competition, and the level of his competition wasn't that high this yesterday. And I mean, don't let this performance of Jake Hager root solely you guys on what's been happening. Because look at his last performance in the match against Roddy. They were electric. So. There you go. I mean, I'm blaming this all on Wardlow, but the real meat and potatoes of this match was after the match. So there you go.
Very true. But before we get to that next bit, Charlie, what did you think of the match itself, or do you not have much to add? Because it was a bit of a.
It happened.
Yeah,
I watched it happen.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything to say.
I mean, fair enough. There's not much to say about it. I know we do our review. Allegedly, but there's some things are just not a lot to say about, But yeah, after the match, Christian Cage and Luchasaurus appeared on the Titantron. I don't know how it was for you guys, but there was audio issues on my end, so we missed the start of the promo.
Yeah, there was audio issues.
But we did hear the important part where Christian Cage and Luchasaurus accept Wardlow's challenge. It looks like Luchasaurus is getting the TNT title shot. Cage then asked Wardlow what he's going to do when his new daddy isn't there, and then the camera pans to a beat-up Arn Anderson with Luchasaurus. Big angle, man.
Which was an awesome visual. I just wanted to talk about, I was just wondering if they put, like, jelly on his face or if he really bladed himself, that was just awesome. And I didn't even know how Arn got backstage. I thought he was ringside the whole time. So
he was ringside, and then there was a brawl.
Menard and Parker, remember they came out, and then
wait, what?
Did we just lose one? Yeah, they came out, and then Brock Anderson with Arn run them off.
Oh, wait, are we gonna get the Andersons versus 2.0?
Well,
Anything's possible, brother. And then they kind of, the Christian Lucha. Is Monty's screen look that way for you guys too, or is it just for me?
Yeah,
It's terrifying.
no.
What happened?
He looks
No, it's
normal to me.
terrifying. This is very, very scary visual.
This is the guy.
What was it?
Camera off. Oh.
Yeah, I've turned my camera off now. But
Okay,
what was it before? Did I
It was like
freeze?
it was like the
It's very-
sun's in your face.
It was distorted. It was not. I'm pretty sure it wasn't the sun because it is in fact 1 a.m. So.
Alright, let me,
This is the guy with the ring.
Yeah, you're fine now.
we're good.
It just glitched for a minute. Yeah, we lost you, and then you came out looking like.
Yeah, it was
But
fine on mine.
yeah,
It was
anyway,
fine on my end as well. I'm very
It's
confused.
so messed up on mine, but it's fine.
Okay, maybe just for me. I don't know. Arn Anderson went backstage and got beat up. That was the point.
Yeah.
Where we left off. My apologies.
Jam thought Manny thought it might have been Jam. Which, brave guess, I guess, But yeah, Luchasaurus vs Wardlow this Friday on Rampage TNT Championship. One to keep an eye on. Okay. Hiroshi Tanahashi, second New Japan video package. He calls out MJF to a match at Forbidden Door, which is immediately made official, which we find out when Renee Paquette, she goes into MJF, who's getting some, he's getting a little bit of treatment after his match. And Renee tells MJF that the match with Tanahashi at Forbidden Door is official. MJF does not seem very happy about it. He even hints at not showing up for it. He didn't agree to it, blah, 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 blah. But the match is official, and we did get a graphic later in the show. So, Tanahashi versus MJF. Hulbert. This, MJF could get some real good heat going and shit in this one, man.
Mhm.
We'll see if see how far Tanahashi can roll back the clock. It's kind of been, he's what pops the nerds, that love Tanahashi so much in recent years. Where it's like, we know he's not the Tanahashi of his prime and of yesteryear, but when he gets on the big stage, he can usually roll the clocks back and genuinely amaze us, So, do you think he does that again here, or where you at?
I do. I think this is actually the perfect usage of both guys for this show. I'm much more into Max's I actually hate New Japan being used to build a professional wrestling match than the alternative that at one point the discussion was like, yeah, he's just not going to be on it because that's the bit. And it's like, I guess, that sounded real dumb to me. So
Yes,
I much prefer this. And this is a perfect stylistic matchup because they can really have, a 1980s NWA World Title match. And honestly, in some ways, I think Tanahashi's physical limitations are going to allow Max to have a more focused match than sometimes he does. And again, I think the world was a wrestler, but sometimes that could be an issue. You can kind of veer in every which direction. Here, he's not going to have the choice because he can't move like that anymore, So, I think this actually has the potential to be a classic. I'm not saying it will be necessarily, but I think if this is placed correctly and has around 20 minutes, I think you could get some near falls late in this where people are like, they actually believe again for a second that Tanahashi's going to do something insane. Because he does that to people. He's special. So as much as he's beaten out, I'm very confident this will be great. And also, Monty, a minute ago when I claimed your screen was distorted, it was actually completely me. So I believe I was imagining that. I would like to note that and apologize to Charlie who thought she was imagining things. It was actually me. Please proceed.
You'll be fine accordingly. It's all right.
I will.
You made me go off camera,
I'm not gonna let that happen, man. I'm telling you, on my screen is distorted right here.
Anywhere I'm fine, you send it over to me, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go on YouTube right now, and while I do this, Charlie, what did you think of the Tanahashi MJF matchup?
It's funny taking a photo.
Yeah, man, that's all you,
really
bro.
threw me off, bro.
Because you look fine on the stream, so if it's still that way for me, that's even funnier. But anyway, Charlie, carry on.
Sorry, that really threw me off. Just funny taking a photo on the stream. I think this is like Joe was saying. This is the best use of MJF on this show. I'm excited to be there for this match. Like you were saying, if Tanahashi can suspend our disbelief, the near falls and now I think it's going to be fucking insane in the building. So I'm very excited to be there for that one. And MJF's so good. He's they're going to be able to put together a match no matter how long it goes and what spots they're able to get in. I think it's just going to be good no matter what. I'm not looking forward to I'm less high on the whole I hate New Japan bit, but that might just be like, because I just don't like MJF's promos in general. So
no, we agree on that.
Surprise, but...
It's more that I didn't want it to be like that's why he's not on the show. You
Yeah,
know, like I think it can work because Tanahashi is kind of the protector of the promotion in some ways.
100%.
But
he embodies the promotion.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like basically the perfect match for MJF's first Forbidden Door, honestly.
I will say, when they threw the graphic up for this, like, I think this would be great, again, to be clear, but I was thinking, if Max could have wrestled, like, 2012 Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Yeah.
No.
Because, you know, like, Max likes to do, like, the kind of flair tribute act at times. I don't mean that as an insult, but Tanahashi had a lot of steamboat. He has a lot of steamboat, but he had a lot when he was younger, especially, so... But this would be great even as is because Tanahashi's that smart. So, yeah.
I wish this match was happening in Japan, not Canada. But this can be awesome. I've been asking for this match since 5/4 of 22, since last year. You know, so since they announced Forbidden Door, and I'm glad we're finally getting it. This is gonna be poetry in motion, man. I'm telling you right here. This is going to be some real shit. So I can't wait to see what they create. And you this is like a definition of like if this was WWE, the 5 main events, you know, like, you know, when they do the 2 main event things, there's actually 5 main events for the show. So, and that's not even including the eventual Orange and Zack Sabre Jr. match. So,
show looks unbelievable.
Or Kenta and Punk match. So this is just crazy.
It's the show when this all came to be, this whole partnership came to be. These are the matches we dreamed up, right? Like, this card is, last year was one of the best shows in recent memory, and that was more of like a hint of what we were expecting. This year we're getting the whole deal, so it's going to be incredible.
Yeah, it'll be but most of it expected to be some really good stuff, you know. This Tanahashi, man, and as we just mentioned, MJF he's just rolling at the minute in the ring, you know. He's killing it. So that's where we're at. Back to Dynamite. Where are we at? Backstage with Orange Cassidy. Renee Paquette, that's Orange Cassidy. What the future holds for him. As he's answering, he's interrupted by New Japan's Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre Jr. then challenges Cassidy to a match at Forbidden Door. He's then interrupted by Daniel Garcia, who wants a shot at Orange Cassidy's friend, ROH Pure Champion, Shibata. Orange Cassidy then says he will team with Shibata in a tag team match versus Daniel Garcia and Zack Sabre Jr. next week and walks off. Daniel Garcia then goes to fist bump Zack Sabre Jr., which he hilariously declines. Charlie, you into this?
Yes. Like, who isn't? Like, I feel like there's a little bit of something for everyone in, like, with the 4 people involved here. Mm-hmm. The tag match is going to be so fucking good. Like, Danny just doing his, like, sports entertainer shit while Zack Sabre Jr. talks shit at him from, like, the ring corner, even though they're on the same team. It's just going to be so fucking good. I can't wait. Like, I hope they actually do this tag match. I know they haven't announced it officially yet, but they've teased it enough that I'm fairly confident that they're going to. I'm very excited.
Yeah, they've got. You can't just like lay the match out like that, you know.
Yeah, you can't just do that.
You can't do that to us, man.
And then Zack Sabre Jr. versus Orange Cassidy, that's going to be fantastic. Like, there's no way that it wouldn't be. So.
Yeah, I'm with you. Holbert, you fired up for this one?
Absolutely. Daniel Garcia match, bro. You know, I'm always fired up for Daniel Garcia matches. He's got other good wrestlers involved. This could be a real treat. Good wrestlers, I say. No, I mean, this is to me, this is like the alternative, the other part of the Forbidden Door deal that we like, right? Like, the obvious part, as we just mentioned, is the pay-per-view card and matches like Okada and Dragon and that kind of. But this is the more quirky part of the equation that I think we enjoy about this kind of emerging season is weird shit like this. Like, if anyone had posted this as like a fantasy match graphic on Wednesday morning, people were like, how do they get into this one? It's like, I'll tell you how, a 30-second backstage segment, and that's fine because that's all we needed because it was fun, it was entertaining, and all these guys have personality, and all of them have very unique approaches to these segments. Orange Cassidy with the I loved his delivery of the, you know, someone's going to interrupt me any second, and he kind of pointed at Zack. Like, you know. So I think all these guys are great in this kind of setting. So I really love these quirky tags that this kind of season can allow. So I'm really excited for it, absolutely.
Good stuff, man. Hooper, we're going to see some hooping in this tag match next week if we get it.
It's going to be a lot of great stuff, but I want to point out that did you hear the crowd react to when Daniel Garcia came out on the camera? Yeah. Bro, they went loud for him. So, I mean, if this doesn't show where he is right now in the company, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, this guy's going to be a future star for them. And he's going to show out in this match. I mean, it's just 4 great professional wrestlers going to have a great match. So, can't wait to see it.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. Looking forward to it, to be honest. Tony Storm. Go on.
Oh, I forgot. Zach looked like an absolute star. He looked like he should be on TV.
So. Oh, it's been known for a while that Zach would always be good TV. You know, he's just the way he is. You know, he's just. I love Zach. He's great, man. All right, next up on Dynamite, Tony Storm defeats Sky Blue, AEW Women's Championship match. I like this, man. I thought this was good. Tony Storm gives Sky Blue a lot. Which was good to see, you know, because they're clearly trying to do something with Sky Blue at the moment in terms of making her feel like a regular TV presence and establishing her as like a real competitor on the show. And I think this went a ways of doing it. Like I said, Tony Storm gave her a lot, and like I said, in a good way. So good stuff, I thought. Manny, what did you think, mate?
The match was good. To me,
he always seems so off guard when you ask him about a women's match, bro.
You see, that's what I'm saying.
It's crazy, bro.
Oh, no. I was going to talk about the match was good, but to me, I think the best stuff was them playing promos on each other after the match and them just doing the little bits where Tony Storm was like, he's like, I'm going to be your stepmom to Sky Blue and all that, and what they're doing, I think that stuff was a lot better than the match, in my opinion. Just them building up to the tag match on Saturday.
Well, there you have it. The Hoopers tag. But what did you think of this? Do you think it achieved in establishing Sky Blue as a competitor on the show?
Yeah, for sure it did. I like this. I think they're actually Sky, early on, her stuff was a little loose, and she grew into the match, and by the end of it, she was looking more like the rest we've seen in Ring of Honor. Mm-hmm. Which is very understandable because they're different settings, you know. So, but the biggest thing, more than me analyzing how tight the match got over, that's the most important thing. And that's the thing with Sky is like people like Sky Blue. She gets over live, and I think you kind of saw that here on the finish. Is people were like, they decided they thought there was a chance she was going to win this match, and even though they knew there was no chance, that's the beauty of wrestling, right? And they did a finish that was effective in that regard. I think Tony Storm is like, she seems to be having an absolute blast with this run right now. You know, previously with Tony, I've talked about how I love her work in the ring, but I think she sometimes struggles to find who she is as a wrestling personality, you know? This may not be everyone's ideal version of her, what we're getting with the Outcast, but it sure seems like she's kind of letting loose in that regard and having fun and really rolling with it and trying to get the people to boo her. So I thought she was terrific here, and Sky continues to improve, and another positive for sure. I mean, again, I'm not trying to overstate it or anything, but most important thing, it got over, and that's all you can hope for, right? So this worked a treat, actually, I thought in the end.
Yeah, good stuff. Charlie, what did you think of this women's title match?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I like the fact that Sky Blue's still getting consistent TV time. I do think she should start picking up wins now that she's had this title match and it got over as much as it did. I want to see her start getting pins on people and start building up some proper momentum in that, because she is getting a lot better. She is one of, I would say in the women's division, she's one of their more underrated projects. They've been putting a lot into her, and I'm glad that it's paying off for her. So I'm excited to see where that goes and what they're building to in general. And I think the tag match on Saturday will be a lot of fun with Willow. I like that Willow came down to make the save and she got her pop. I love seeing Willow on TV no matter what she's doing.
I think AEW is just rewarding Sky and Willow for always doing the house shows and all that, because I think they're the only women that are constantly on them. So I mean that's really cool. That
I think Anna Jay has been on the house shows, to be fair.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
And Anna Jay.
Wait, I'm right there, right? She has been on the house shows.
A lot of it.
I think she's only been on one. I mean, I think she was only in that. I think just that stat match, wasn't it?
I think so. I could be wrong. I don't know. But yeah,
we're not here to discuss how.
Tony Storm's done at least 2, so I don't really
Tony's
know what's.
workhorse. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To your point about Sky's kind of win-loss record, it feels like Saturday could be a chance to get her a win, right?
Yeah.
In Chicago, it feels like.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking about. I could be wrong on this, but Sky debuted in All Out 2021, right? That was like that was like not her debut. That was like her first big deal. Remember, because she got added to the Battle Royal in Chicago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Sounds about right.
this is, to your point, Charlie, about this being a project. We're almost 2 years into this run now. And I know she's only been All Elite for a portion of that, but like, it's a real thing. And a lot of that, obviously she's been working outside of the promotion to what Manny was mentioning. So, yeah, this is it's been an kind of understated positive story, I think, for the division. It's been good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, after the match, as Charlie touched on, Ruby and Tony, they're trying to attack Sky Blue. And then Willow Nightingale, New Japan Strong Women's Champion. She makes a save. This sets up a collision match on Saturday, which is going to be the 4 women involved in the tag match. So, of course, Ruby Soho, Tony Storm versus Willow Nightingale and Sky Blue. And as Manny touched on as well, there was a few promos as well to build to this. So, yeah, man. Good stuff. Next up, we had a backstage interview with Hook and Jack Perry. Renee asked how the guys are feeling. Jack Perry says he feels like it's time he got some gold, and he officially accepts Sonata's IWGP World Heavyweight Championship Open Challenge at Forbidden Door. He then asks Hook if he'll be in his corner, and of course Hook agrees to. So a match being made official. We got the match graphic that's official. Jack Perry versus Sonata, IWGP World Heavyweight Championship at Forbidden Door. Hook is going to be in the corner of Jack Perry, which could lead to some interesting stuff taking place either during or after the match. I'm not mad at this, man. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at this match. Manny, how are you feeling about it?
Hook, you better watch your back with this man. He's going to turn on you. And when he does, it's not going to be good for you. So, the match, I don't know. It's going to be there. It's going to be a good match, I guess. The one thing I'm just really invested in this Jungle Boy Hook thing. I just hope they just don't turn right away, because I kind of want to see him tag a few more matches. Then they break up. But it would be, if Jungle Boy does turn on Forbidden Door, it would make sense, because he's lost every title match, and seeing Hook with the FTW title, it just make you guys snap. So there you go.
There you have it. Holbert, what do you think of this? What do you think of this Forbidden Door matchup?
I actually quite like it. I think it's pretty smart too. That we've talked about how Sonata doesn't have like an obvious dance partner, right? He's not one of the guys who you put in these like blockbuster all-star matchups, but Jack, I think, has more than enough credibility to make it a worthwhile thing on the show. Mm-hmm. And you're giving Sonata, that spotlight and that win while developing a story you're telling with your own guy, right? So, I think it kind of helps both parties. It's going to be a chance for Sonata not to be the B player in a deal and get a clear win. And then you can do your stuff with Jack. So I think it'll be good. I will say I don't need it to be especially long. I think if this is in the 12 to 15 range, they can actually have a really good match, to be honest. I think when you extend it beyond that, I would have some concerns, but I'm not a big Sonata fan, so maybe that's unfair on my part. But I actually think it'll be pretty damn good. I like it personally.
Yeah, I see. So I want to bring up Fredo's comment right here about the
who?
Fredo. We're talking about the smaller guys. He's getting this match because where is it? It bugs me that JB's probably wouldn't get an IWG title shot anywhere else, because he's smaller than most, if not all, the juniors. And I agree, but this is one of the cool things about this partnership is you're going to see a lot of these guys wrestle.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of guys you wouldn't see, and that's the best thing. Like, look at Jay White, man. He would never have wrestled some of the guys he's wrestling in AEW, and now he's having unique and kind of crazy-looking matches. So, I mean, it's gonna be kind of interesting to see what Sonata does with Jungle Boy in that aspect.
Definitely. Charlie, how are you feeling about the matchup and, of course, the implications it may have for Jungle Hook?
I think it's actually quite inspired booking, because of no one would have pitched Jack Perry as the person to face Sonata. But I think, like Joe was saying, if they kept it short, and they don't like try to prolong it just for the sake of it being on a pay-per-view. I think this could be really good. And Jack has such a high ceiling with pay-per-view matches anyways. Like, he's going to deliver no matter what happens. So I'm excited for it. And like Joe was saying, like, it like lends itself to the story they're already telling with Jack Perry and Hook. So I'm excited about it. I think it could be something that like people come out of the pay-per-view being like, wow, that over-delivered because of like on paper it doesn't sound like a match that should be booked on a show like this, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah, excuse me, I was just coughing on mute. All right, next up we had a few promo packages. We had video packages for Okada versus Danielson, Omega versus Ospreay, Vendor. We also got a promo package from Jay White, Bullet Club Gold, FTR promoting AEW Collision main event, CMFTR versus Bullet Club Gold and Samoa Joe. And then we have the big main event, people. Hangman Adam Page and the Young Bucks defeat the Blackpool Combat Club. Hangman Adam Page pinned Wheeler Yuta. This was a really, really good match, man. Good stuff. And of course, there was all of the commotion that unfolded after. But let's just keep it as the match for now, because there's so much to get into with the afters. It will be like its own separate segment. Yeah. But yeah, just as a match, Charlie, I'll start with you. Your takeaway from this one? The Elite got the win.
The Elite got the win. They've finally got a win in this feud, it feels like. Probably no surprise to anyone. I really loved this match. I thought it was a lot of fun. The Bugs coming out in cowboy hats, like the visual of that and like the silhouette just popped me huge. I thought it was great. They were just like going a little bit crazy, it felt like, but I don't know what I expected. It's the Elite and Blackpool Combat Club. They were always going to be like crazy in a match like this. Like Hangman doing the shooting star press on the apron, I can't remember the last time I've seen him do that. I don't think he's done that in AEW, so that was kind of like nuts to see. So, but yeah, man, it was just a really good match. I don't know like what to say other than the fact that I'm just going to talk in circles about how much I loved it and how much of a good time I had with it. So
yeah, I don't think you've shocked anyone, to be honest. Loving the match. It was good shit, man. It was good shit. Manny, I'd assume that you like this one as well. Go ahead.
I'm throwing my hand up on this. I didn't watch it.
What?
Yeah, I have to go back and rewatch it. I was distracted during this match.
By what?
I was doing something. What was I talking about?
There's no playoffs on. There's no like. Come on, man, get it together.
I think I was making a quesadilla. So I was just, I was watching on my phone and all that. And by the time I came back to my computer to watch it, it was when everybody was coming out. So that's hands up, man. That's on me. I should have watched the biggest match on the show. I thought I was gonna make my quesadilla fast enough. I mean,
it was a really good
this guy's food. It's ruining his online career. You know, it's making him like podcasts. He's missing big segments and matches. It's not good, man. It's not good.
And I was gonna watch it before the show, but then, like I said, the spaghetti took me out. So I mean,
I appreciated that once again you were magnanimous enough to say, it's on me, guys, because we were debating if it was our fault, so I appreciate it. Good stuff, man.
Oh, man, Hooper. All right, Hulbert, I'll throw it to you, man. Your thoughts on just the match by itself?
Good. This thing was incredible, man. This was outrageous. Professional. They went 12 minutes. They jammed so much stuff in the first and third act of this match that by the end of it, you had to have like an exhale. I was ready to go have a smoke, and I don't smoke, and I was so exhausted. But this was fucking incredible. I haven't seen that much talk about it today, and I haven't been as online as
all the afters that everyone's talking about.
Exactly, that's what that was the head. I thought this match was like extraordinary, and in the middle of it, and this is the thing with the Bucks people always miss. It's like the front. The front end and the back end of the match is what people will kind of will remember, and rightly so, because that's the spectator, and that's when the Bucks get to do the full, the high octane offense and such. But I would implore anyone who thinks the Bucks are somehow they still think they're these like one trick ponies. Watch Nick Jackson playing babyface in peril in the middle of the match because they got heat on Nick, and this was like as well as you'll see a guy play that role these days almost anywhere. And it's the complete opposite to what people think the Young Bucks, can and can't do. And that's always been, that's been out of date for like 8 years now. But my point being that they somehow managed to have 2 great matches in one here in 12 minutes. And I don't really know how. I've rewatched it a couple of times. This was unbelievably good. Like just great TV, electric stuff. So I loved it.
Yeah. And speaking of which, it then unfolds into chaos, but good chaos, very good chaos. So Hangman Adam Page, he pins Wheeler Yuta. Wheeler Yuta, as you mentioned on yesterday's podcast, Joe, he's got a few pins and he's looked strong as of late, and he can eat that, he can hold that pin, and it's not that damaging to him. But yeah, after the match, Blackpool Combat Club attempt to attack Hangman and the Bucks, and then Eddie Kingston's music hits. Absolute scenes, where you been, Eddie? Jim Ross famous quote, where you been, Eddie, with Misha? Everyone kind of scatters around, clears the ring almost, besides Claudio. Eddie has his eyes on Claudio, makes his way to the ring. The 2 men brawl, with Eddie kind of getting the better of Claudio. Wheeler Yuta tries to get involved and he gets dealt with as well. John Moxley then shows up behind Kingston, but he's kind of conflicted because obviously they're supposedly still friends. So they just kind of awkwardly stare at each other for like 2-3 seconds before Matt Jackson gets back involved and he jumps Moxley from behind. Eddie then pulls Matt Jackson off Moxley, which causes a bit of tension as well with those 2. Moxley and Eddie then get in each other's faces. Then Takeshita comes out and he runs out and he takes out Eddie Kingston and Nick Jackson as the ring empties. Then Kenny Omega's music hits and he comes out and he starts to get the better of Takeshita in a brawl. Then more brawling just continues between everyone, and then it kind of leaves Omega and Takeshita in the ring again. Omega's lining up a V-trigger on Takeshita, and then out of nowhere, Will Ospreay joins in the fun and he jumps Kenny Omega and wipes him out. A truly wild last 5 minutes of the show with all that stuff that I just mentioned. I probably missed a few little things as well. This was crazy, man. This was great TV. Everyone left the show, like, from what I saw at least online, the reaction from everyone was like, oh my God, what did we just see? That was insane, and that's what you want to be leaving the show feeling. And it planted seeds for next week, like, or the next shows that are happening later in the week, like what's Will Ospreay doing here? What's going to be the fallout next week, etc., etc. Like, this is how you close a pro wrestling show. Obviously, not every week you're going to have the opportunity to do something this chaotic with this many big stars, but kind of the premise of it, in what the feelings that it makes you feel leaving the show. You want to watch the next thing immediately. So a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff, a lot of positive reception. Manny the Hooper, you said this is what you did catch. So let's just pretend that you saw a great main event and then all this shit happened. So what's your takeaway on it?
This is probably the best ending to a Dynamite in a long, long time. And I think these are the participants we are going to see in the Blood and Guts match. And then if they do want to get crazy, they can just, wait. They would have to add Ibushi to make the 6-on-6. So
yeah, I was trying to work out the numbers.
Yeah, me too. As soon as I said it, I said, oh, shit, no, dude. But they were good at math, so, and there you go. So, but to me, my favorite segment of this was the whole Eddie Kingston thing, because it added so many layers to this BCC feud, because, obviously Eddie Kingston hates Claudio, and they made that canon in AEW too again last night. And then my favorite part is when Eddie slid into the ring, he couldn't get back up fast enough, so he just took Claudio down like that, and they started brawling. And I almost started crying, getting emotional when I saw Moxie and Eddie coming head to head. I said, "Oh man, not now, man! You gotta stick together." I remember the memories, and I'm just electric, bro. I was just so pumped about what was gonna happen. I mean, I don't know. I was speechless, bro. I don't know what to say. I watched this thing maybe 6 times. I just keep watching it because it was just one of the best endings to Dynamite.
Yeah, it was really good shit. Like I've tried to put across. Holbert, what did you think of this chaotic last 5 minutes?
This was just an absolute wrestling television masterpiece right here. This was like the wrestling TV you aspire to, and you can't do it too much, because if you do it too much, unfortunately, it becomes like a parody of itself, as we found with Nitro back in the day. But if you do it right, and here's the other thing too, Eddie set the tone in the sense that he was the surprise none of us expected. Like, no one predicted Eddie to be involved in this angle at all. So with that, everything that came after, even though you could have probably sat down and expected those or predicted those, maybe not in one segment, you knew that eventually Kenny was going to come back and get someone to Takeshita. You knew Ospreay was going to get Kenny. But by leading with Eddie, you set the tone with saying it was so unpredictable that the other things actually felt unpredictable also, because you couldn't believe they were doing them on top of what we just had. Great execution on the Ospreay running in particular. I thought they nailed that, I thought. And the timing was great. And just an absolute home run. Like, a special ending to what I think is honestly one of the best episodes they've ever done. I truly feel that way, and I've seen almost all of them. I think I've covered most of them at this point, and I think it's one of the best episodes of Dynamite they've ever done. And a big part of what we'll remember from it, while the rest of the show was great, or most of it was great, this closing segment will be remembered for a long, long time. This, people were joking last night. This is one of those clips that we get reposted for the next 20 years on the many different social media platforms that will come and go. But yeah, the big takeaway of me, I'm with Manny. Obviously, my investment is very much with Eddie Kingston, so I was thrilled to see him back. And this Moxley story has been bubbling, not on the actual TV show, but simply in the brains of people that love Eddie Kingston.
Yeah.
Moxley is his only friend, and it's like Mox, that's Claudio's guy. So I can't wait. I just love all this, and best of all, I trust the guys involved to tell the story correctly, and that's really important. So huge home run.
Joe, I hope Eddie Kingston brings up, like, he's like, bro, you took Claudio to New Japan before you took me to New Japan, and all that. I just hope that he brings that up, because that would be awesome.
Yeah, there's definitely many layers they can touch on with that one. Charlie, a very big night in the Charlie fandom household last night. How was you feeling coming out of this Dynamite after what you just seen?
It got me even more excited for Forbidden Door, which I didn't think was possible, because I've been so excited for it for weeks now because of going to be there in person. I've said it like every podcast I've been on for fuck knows how long.
You're traveling across the world,
Yeah, man.
Get your shit off,
It was crazy in the best way possible. Like Joe was saying, like, starting with Eddie, like, everything else, it was just like thing after thing after thing in like 5 minutes. It was like you couldn't like process what had just happened, like, before the next thing was already happening. I think Eddie will be involved with this storyline going forward. I'm not too convinced on Ospreay being too heavily involved in it, like outside of like the Kenny stuff. We could potentially see like Ospreay and Takeshita teaming up if Takeshita does join the United Empire, which I still do think could happen in the future, and Don Callis linking up with Ospreay and them lot. There was like some things going on the outside, like when like the timing of Ospreay coming in, it stopped Kenny doing the Terminator dive. I think that's what he was going for next, because Takeshita rolled out. So it was just really exciting stuff. I'm very pumped for the next few weeks.
Did you see the shot where I think it was towards the end, or it might have been after? It was just like it was Will Ospreay's Titantron, and there was just Callis was right next. Yeah, right. Yeah, I think maybe that had been foreshadowing. Who knows? But bro, Ospreay, man, he might be fucked up, bro. He still has that explosiveness. You see how hard he hit that ring? He hit it like in one motion. So that was Ospreay's awesome.
That kick was right on the money. It was like it came out of fucking nowhere.
It was perfect. It really was. That was the most well executed part of the whole thing. And obviously I loved it all just conceptually, and it was all great. But that nailed it. Perfect way to finish it. So yeah, absolutely.
Man, that hidden, every time I see the hidden blade, bro, especially from the front, something about it is just so electrifying, because it looks like it kills people.
The hidden blade.
No one should kick out of that move. Genuinely.
Yeah.
I hate that he has people kick out of it.
Yeah, and I'm very seldom that guy, but that move looks way too cool for him to, like, the way he does it. People kick out that shit all the time. It's like, man, that thing is like what's one of the coolest looking moves in wrestling. It's awesome.
He does. What is it? I think which one do you prefer, the front or the back? Because I prefer the one to the face, the front of the face.
The one to the face definitely looks more like devastating. Then the one to the back of the head, it looks really good. in the moment, 100%. But that's mainly down to how well Ospreay's got down to like perfecting it.
Yeah.
Remember, he fucking KO'd Ibushi at Wrestle
He
Kingdom.
he can find a lot. Like it's a lot easier for him to find creative transitions into it when it's to the face, because it's like it's a more kind of seamless transition, right? That way, like he's right in front of the guy and he can go straight with it. So, yeah.
When he hit, when I was watching the match with Archer that happened like a week ago. When he kept spamming it on him, I was yelling at my screen. I said, "Fuck, he's gonna kill him! He's gonna kill him!"
Ospreay's offense is so like explosive, you know. Whether it's a strike like the Hidden Blade or whether it's fucking him making up dives as he goes along, you know. He's an animal, man. He's as dynamic as it comes, you know. He's got snap. He's got. Go on, Joe.
No, just before we move on, because I know we got the collision preview and also talk about Carlito. Before we move on, I don't know when Blood and Guts is going to be. We need to give ourselves some runway here for some of these singles matches. Because if you look at the squad that we're expecting to be in this Blood and Guts match, many of which are like obviously going to be in it, there's so many singles matches, and even the ones that aren't like obvious. Like, for example, like doing a Wheeler Yuta Eddie Kingston singles on a TV, like, please, I need that shit. You know, I mean, obviously the Dragon Kenny rematch goes without saying. We've been waiting for a while on that one, right? Like we're hoping.
Claudio versus Nick Jackson.
Of course.
I'll get that match.
Of course.
It feels like a bit at this point. It genuinely feels like a bit that they keep pairing them off in these situations.
Charlie, was it you that tweeted out they should do a whole Dynamite with all the matches and have them all be qualifiers, and whatever team wins by the end of the night, they have the advantage in Blood and Guts? It might have been.
That's a cool idea. I'm not going to take credit for it because
it might have been. It might have been Pep's. You know.
There's so many great matchups you could.
How do you get Charlie mixed up with Pep?
I think it was something Charlie would say, but
you could at least like said Peach or someone, you know, Peps. Shout out Pepso, Joshi, Weepy Joshi, Gold writer at WrestlePurists, great guy. Don't know how he's been confused with Charlie though. God bless. True hooperism right there. But yeah, as Joe said earlier, Dynamite was great. Truly one of their great episodes. I know it feels like every few weeks they have one of these, but I feel like sometimes that gets overstated, you know, because you see like Dynamite, it'll go in like these, you know, it feels like one of those things like perception was 1 week everyone's fucking crazy high on it for 2 weeks, and then people are kind of like in the middle with it, and then they'll have like they'll have an episode that gets bad reception, you know, and then everyone will think it's all over, the promotion's finished, and then, you know, then it'll come back again. So sometimes I do think like some of the highs can be a bit overstated because of that, because of the way it goes up and down in terms of perception. But I think nights like last night really, really do show like they're great shows. Like last night was an actual great AEW show, like a top 10, top 5, you know.
Since Monty's frozen, I'm gonna say one thing. If Tony Khan's a real booker, you know, he would book Okada and Okada Omega versus Danielson and Ospreay next week. You know, just throwing it out there. I predicted it 2 weeks ago, and it looks like
I don't think Dragon's gonna wrestle until the pay. It feels like they want to make sure he's gonna make it, right? Feels like
he's wrapped in fucking bubble wrap right now. He's not allowed to leave the commentary booth.
Well then, Ospreay and Takeshita.
There you go. There's so many matchups that you can do. You can't really go wrong with it. Also, apologies for my Wi-Fi. He just gave up for like 3 seconds. It was really weird. But yeah, man, that was Dynamite for you. Great show. All right. Last news thing is what is also sharing the fun now, because of course it was the big story this morning. Carlito.
Where was this big story?
Bro, it's Carlito, man. It's fucking. Oh, come on.
It wasn't on my timeline, bro. I didn't see that.
You've got a weird timeline, man, and we've established this many episodes, many episodes ago. So yeah, Carlito may be signed with WWE. It seems to be that way. He's cancelling independent And then bookings, photos. You good?
Your internet's broken up.
Oh, let me know then, man. Jesus.
See, Monty, they just laugh at you. I just sit here.
Yeah, like I'm in the middle of trying to explain what's going on. I've got the giggling like school kids.
It made a very loud noise. You see, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's fine.
Right,
It's just funny.
So
It's funny.
Carlito's cancelling independent appearances. Basically, one of the promoters jumped on Facebook and on a live stream and said basically it was because they were told he is signing with WWE. Of course, a lot of people were happy to see him. A lot of people were hyped when they saw him at the Puerto Rico Backlash pay-per-view. He looked great. People have been saying this for a minute now. Like when he showed up in Royal Rumble like a couple of years ago, he's kept himself in great shape. He definitely looks TV ready. Anyone that remembers Carlito from back in the day knows that he can definitely do the dance in the ring. He can cut promos. He can do all that good stuff. But yeah, we ain't going to spend too long on it, especially with Manny's reaction to the story even being brought up. But
what's he going to do?
What do you mean? He's going to wrestle, bro? The fuck? He's not like I just try to put across. He's physically in great shape. People like Carlito, bro. Like,
do you have on your whiteboard like circled Carlito, Dominic Mysterio, or something? I don't know what he's gonna.
I mean, that's what creative's for. They're clearly gonna find a place for him.
Yeah, bro wants me to like give a whole story.
There's plenty of people who could put him in the ring. Like, it's Carlito. It's gonna be good no matter.
Yeah, they'll pop for him. You know? People will pop for him. People will like him. People will be happy to see him. You know. Obviously, they've got the whole LWO thing going on, which he was already been kind of involved with at that past pay-per-view. Like, there's definitely things that they can do with him, bro. Like, it's, you know, there's definitely less interesting people on TV. Let's put it that way.
You know, be kind of a crazy spot is if like he's eating the apple and like Walter just chops him and he spits out the apple. I mean, that's like the only cool thing I can see. You know,
Mate, it took you like 10 seconds to think of that. So I think we're onto something, you know.
But I was just flabbergasted. I just.
Yeah. So, do we think we see? I'll throw it to Hall, but you know, Carlito. I know you're absolutely ecstatic with this one. You know.
Yeah.
Do you actually think he's signed with WWE? Do you think he'll be wrestling much? Do you think what sort of role do you see him in?
He'll probably wrestle for a couple of years, and then they'll probably, see if he could fill a role as a coach or an agent. I know once upon a time that would have been unfathomable, but much weirder things have happened if you look at who currently coaches and agents there. So that's generally how they do that kind of deal. I don't know how well he can, how would I put this, move in his current form. He famously transformed himself into a body guy, his words, not mine, around a decade ago. And I have seen... one professional wrestling match that wasn't the Royal Rumble in that time, I believe, from Carlito, and it was the tag he did with Jeff Hardy, and it did not confirm or deny my. I wasn't sure afterwards whether he could move or not. He looks incredible though.
He does.
So
yeah.
Good for him. I always liked Carlito back in the day, and the big man is back. I guess right. It's gonna be a hell of a run. I'm sure.
You'll spit some apple in Dom Mysterio's face or some shit. You know, people will love that. You know. Yeah. WWE, bro. Man, he's trying to book this up. It's fucking.
I always wonder if Carlito always finished the apple, or what do they do with the apple after he bites it? So, if anybody knows, let me know.
Goes in the bin, I'd assume. No, it's not.
That's a waste.
It's not rocket science, you know. Like Jesus.
Just somebody just hold it for him after the match. I mean, I don't know.
It just gets thrown away, bro. Like,
that's a waste of an apple.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're worried about it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what their budgeting team is looking at. Anyway,
so I'm just thinking about the world. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean,
all right, man. Let's talk these quarter hours then, since they've been sent to us. Charlie, I was surprised. Like, even with the chat giving me the pre-warning of how these rating trends went last night. So just to go through it, of course, the peak viewership segment was MJF versus Adam Cole. First 15 minutes of that. The peak demo was the last 6 minutes of Cole versus MJF and the CM Punk video package and Sammy Guevara Darby Allin live promo. That was a peak in the... No, hold on, I've got this wrong. No, I haven't. Yes, I have. No, I haven't. Adam Cole and MJF was the peak, basically. It's because it goes across 3 segments. It threw me off, you know. But yeah, look, that last hour drop, last 30 minutes drop, should I say, was it's kind of brutal. I can't lie. So they lost over 60,000 people in the 18 to 49 for the finish of Wardlow versus Hager and some of the video packages, and of course the women's match as well. And then from there, it just continued to drop, man. And by the end of it, we ended up, for the main event, 699,000 viewers with 324,000 people in the key demo, which is almost, what we're talking? We're talking just over 200,000 people dropped out from start to finish. And in the demo, which I think is probably more damning, they lost nearly 100,000 people in the demo from start to finish, which is, you know, it's kind of, I find it really weird these days how, like, I think it's kind of like, because it's the way AEW's been, and since AEW's came into the wrestling business, like, it's put more emphasis on some of the ratings discourse and stuff and things that people look for. But like this kind of trend of AEW's peak being the first quarter and then it just slowly goes down. Like, of course, not normally to this extent, but it does usually go down throughout the show. That isn't how wrestling was, like, you know, back in the day. Like, you do your big angle or something at the start and you build to your main event, and your main event or something close to your main event would be your peak quarter. That doesn't really happen in AEW, which is it's just kind of interesting to me, like, how that trend is, you know, especially when it's a loaded main event like last night. You know, it seems like they have a issue almost with, like, retaining their whole audience and keeping them invested and maybe even bringing some back for the main event and stuff like that. An interesting one, Charlie. I know It's the greatest day to be claiming that the Elite are absolutely, you know, irreplaceable, huge draws, the backbone of the company, even though we know all these things are basically true anyway.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's not really a great day to be shouting about it, is it?
Well, you know me, I don't buy into ratings discourse ever. I've never used this to my agendas. It doesn't matter.
I only use them for agendas. So, you know.
That's right, Charlie. You're a real adult here, you know.
100%. I've never referred to the ratings when trying to get a point across.
No, who would do such a thing?
Yeah, exactly. It's just interesting. Like, this was a massive drop-off. Like,
big, yeah.
And I just don't understand why it happens. Not just because it was the Elite. Like, it happens a lot to, like, a lot of talent they put in the main event. And I just don't understand why ratings drop like that sometimes. But it is what it is. It happened. I can't change it.
Yeah, it's like the competition. Like, it wasn't as. I'm sure there's stuff on. Like, I'm sure someone will mention Vanderpump Rules or whatever other shit is on TV. You know, and of course that draws good numbers, but it's not like It's not like it's a big sports event. It's not like the NBA Finals was on last night. It's not like anything like that was on last night. So I think those are like the biggest. Like, when it comes to ratings and like other stuff being on, that will like really hurt it. Of course, you've got other wrestling shows, but like live sports and when all that stuff with like Trump was going on, you know, those things really. But when people start to bring up like, oh wow, Vanderpump Rules was on, or it's just like, come on, bro, you know. Like,
what is that? What is that? What do you bring that up?
It's like AEW fans don't care about that shit, and even if they do, it's like it's very minuscule amount, surely, you know.
Did you make that up? Is that a real show?
That's a real show.
It's a real show that has been mentioned by certain journalists many times about when talking about AEW ratings. So
let me look this shit up, bro. I don't even know what the hell that is.
I mean, you can wait until after the show, can't you, mate? But yeah, Dynamite ratings, Hulbert, interesting trend that we're seeing. Why do you think them such a big drop off in the last 30?
So I'm not educated on this matter at all, but am I right in saying this is like a trend with trios matches? Wasn't this like a thing previously with trios matches when we were doing the big elite realm with the trios matches? And I guess what I mean by this, I would assume part of the audience just doesn't see there's a great deal of stakes to them, because they're like a road to kind of thing. I mean, personally, I think they're fucking awesome, so it doesn't really bother me. But there seems to be a trend from what I recall the conversation being. But I mean, ultimately, I think it's always hard with this stuff because you can draw conclusions one direction, and the next week they can go in the complete other, right? Like as we've learned with these exact wrestlers that was up and down this week, we've previously gone the other way on. So I don't follow it close enough to give like a really qualified comment. If it's a trios thing, I would assume based on personal experiences because people don't think there's a great deal of stakes to the match. To which I would say, I don't care. It rules. You know what I think about wrestling for the masses, Monty? I have a clear stance on that. I'm going to leave it there.
It's just sort of fair. Fair's fair. People like what they like. People are interested in what they're interested in it. So it's that's always going to be the case when talking about ratings. Levels of interest and stuff. I think it is a good point to bring up the trios element of it. It's like, yeah, we can be like, oh wow, it had Moxie, it had this guy, it had that guy, and it blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, it was still a trios match, and a lot of wrestling fans just look at a trios match and they're just kind of like, well. They want the big singles matches, they want the title matches, they want, that's what they see as main events, So maybe that was a factor, but this isn't wildly out of the usual for AEW to like lose people in their final quarters. Although this drop off was bigger than usual, which is I guess an interesting point of discussion.
A much better job of making clear to you throughout the program what your main event is. That's something they struggle with, and a lot of it's because they're trying to get bigger things on the TV show and try to pack it full of like noteworthy stuff. Which let me be clear, as someone reviewing it, I'm very thankful for that. But they could probably do a better job. They could definitely do a better job of continually making that point. That's not the most interesting critique. I don't think we would be rating the show more positively if there was more vignettes. It's the main event. Like to us, it's but that would probably help them some, I would assume, would be my guess. But it's always hard to say with ratings because sometimes it doesn't appear to be much rhyme or reason to them, honestly. So it's tough.
We'll see what draws in the coming weeks. We've got a lot of big shows coming on. Of course, there'll be a lot of focus on the AEW Collision ratings over the next couple of weeks, which we are going to get into. So let's preview that. There's some things announced on Dynamite. So we'll get into it right now. So at the minute, as far as we know, the card is Willow and Sky Blue versus Ruby and Tony. Wardlow defends his TNT title versus Luchasaurus. Miro returns. Buddy Matthews versus Andrade. And there may be something else. I feel like
the sixth man.
Yeah, of course, the main event, but I feel there might be something else.
I think that's
well, you just downplayed that. You just downplayed the main event like it was shit, bro. What was that?
Bro, shut up, man. I'm trying to fucking look for something. I said I'm gonna. Of course, there's that, but I'm gonna. That was saving it to last, obviously.
I think you covered it, like genuinely. I think you did, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I did, and of course, the main event, the draw of the show: CM Punk, FTR teaming together versus Samoa Joe and Bullet Club Gold, Jay White, Juice Robinson. Yeah, Samoa Joe and Bullet Club Gold, Jay White and Juice Robinson. So that's the card that we're dealing with. Of course, there's been a lot of talk of brand splits, even though Tony Khan has assured us that there will be no hard split, as he calls it. But we will see. We talked yesterday, and it seems like, between myself, Joe, AO, we kind of believe that that's more of like an insurance policy, of just in case he needs to put the Elite on a Collision 1 week for a bit of goodwill, or vice versa, instead of drawing these hard lines, like he even said himself. So there's that part of it. There's the Canada ticket sales being ass. Let's just be calling them what they are. The US sales are pretty solid. Obviously, there's a Punk interview that's meant to be coming out tomorrow. You good, man?
No, I forgot that this hand I was eating spicy chips out of. I rubbed my eye with. Just keep going.
Yeah, I'll power through. Yeah, CM Punk, he's gone. CM Punk ESPN interview, of course, that'll be interesting. We'll talk a little bit about the rollout and the promotion and the build to the card, and yeah, we'll just talk what we're kind of expecting from Collision, man. Where should we start with the things that I mentioned? Should we just talk about the card, or should we talk about kind of the rollout and promotion?
I think it would make sense because it's the fresh topic after last night to look at the card itself, right? Like, kind of, did it match expectations? Did it fall short? I'm intrigued where everyone's at on that because I didn't really know what to expect from this as, like, in terms of match quality, you know? Because obviously the whole thing is about Punk's back, which is the main hook for me anyway. But I'm intrigued where everyone's at. Charlie, I know you're of the four of us, you're the one who's least probably like, you know, my God, give me that real graps, because you're not a sicko like us, famously. So where did you stand on the match card itself after you saw the graphics and so on and so forth?
I definitely feel like they've done a good job of making it feel like not a Dynamite card. Like, because like looking at like that collection of matches, I was just like, yeah, I don't feel like I would see this on a Wednesday night. So like that's a positive. Whether the matches themselves are like what I would have chosen for like the first, like the premiere show of like a new TV show, I don't know that I would have put Wardlow versus Luchasaurus on this, but it is what it is. At least they're like trying to make it feel like the show has its own identity, so that's a positive.
I'm with you. I was kind of torn on it also. I didn't expect Luchasaurus on Collision. Gonna leave it at that. There was, I don't know. I think you're gonna get like a lot of Punk on this show beyond the match itself. I think Punk is gonna legitimately be on the show for like 50 minutes because I think he's gonna have an extended opening promo, and that trios match is probably gonna be like, you know, I think it's not gonna be dissimilar to what they did. Was it that Christmas episode they did where it was Sting, Darby, and Punk versus the Pinnacle? Remember they had like a 35-minute trios main event. I mean, obviously different pieces at play, and I'm not sure Joe will be thrilled by this news, but I think they're going to go pretty long in this trios match. So it's going to, I mean, as you'd expect, it's going to be all about CM Punk. The rest of the show, women's tag will be fun, but Andrade and Buddy is pretty much the sole highlight to me outside of the main event, if I'm being honest. Manny the Hooper. What do you reckon? You into the Collision lineup?
I'm not really into the same people that wrestled on Wednesday, wrestle on Saturday kind of thing. But I guess he has to do it to show that, you know, it's not going to be exclusive. I just wish he waited, you know, maybe a few weeks to do it. But, man, I have my eyes on the prize when as soon as I saw Andrade and Buddy graphic. I mean, I was all in, no pun intended. And then, I was already excited for the 6-man. So I'm willing to look past the people beat wrestling on both shows for this one show, and I'm really interested to see what else happens on this show because I feel like they're going to try to make this like for one to remember, and they're going to hit everybody in the face with like, oh, you have to be watching this show. So can't wait to see what kind of stops they do for it.
Yeah, it definitely.
I'm interested to see who Miro wrestles. Like, I hope it's not a squash.
I think it's gonna be a squash.
It's gonna be a squash.
It's gonna be a squash, but I hope they do something different.
I think he'll have a squash in like an in-ring promo where we kind of get a mission statement of some kind, and then maybe we'll get, you know, some kind of angle. Yeah. I think they might be taking it slow with him. Go on, Manny.
I think there's a reason why Wardlow's wrestling on this show, and then Miro is having a squash. I think he's gonna make his intentions clear that he wants back his prize from God. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. The big hook with this, I mean, the lineup is, again, for me, it's like I really want to see the main event, and I'm excited for Andrade and Buddy, even if a little bit cautiously so, because Andrade hasn't wrestled for a while, and they are combined like 500 pounds at this point, which is fucking hilarious. But the real like appeal to me as a nerd is how this show feels, right? I think we all agree this thing needs to feel different. Beyond what the lineup says, the talent says, it has to have its own vibe, and that's the biggest appeal to me, or hook to me. Point of interest is like, how's this thing going to look and feel? Is it going to feel like Dynamite on a Saturday, or is it going to have a totally different vibe? Hopefully the latter. I think that's important for the show to succeed.
Yeah, definitely. Two main things I'd be looking for is just kind of at least an attempt of establishing a clear identity. something to distinguish yourself from the rest. And I want real like season premiere feels, you know, kick off new storylines, people who are, you know, I'm interested to see next week. Where's this going to go? Where's that going to go? Hot angles, blah, 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 blah. So I want real season premiere feels. So obviously, judging from the card, it's hard to anticipate that because it's a card of matches. Do you know what I mean? So it's hard to actually give a take on that until you actually see the show play out in front of you. So from a card perspective, I think it's I think Manny's point's very valid, especially with like kind of like the perception of gone with, you know, trying to give us a collision where like this is where you're going to see these superstars sort of thing and these wrestlers and these people, blah blah blah. And then in the first episode, you put Wardlow, who just wrestled on Wednesday, on it. You put Sky and Tony on it, who just wrestled this week on it.
Because sorry to cut you off, but my whole thought was I thought Collision was going to be this is where you're going to see people that we haven't seen in a while. You know, they hardly ever get TV time, and it's like, oh, we're just going to put the same guys that always have TV time on this other show. But I was wondering, do you open the show with a CM Punk mission statement, or you just go right into the action?
I think you start with Punk.
Yeah, you start with Punk.
You book in the show of Punk, and you hope that what you do in the opening segment is so substantial that people say, I have to see this main event. And I think they'll be okay on that front, to be honest. I mean, we just had the conversation about trios matches and the way they draw, but I think if we get some Punk Joe business in the opening seg, which I think is very feasible, I think you may be able to keep people around. I'd hope so anyway. We'll see.
And then do you also have a debut on the show?
I think you need one, yeah. Or at least a big return or surprise. I think a surprise would be very beneficial. I don't know who that would be necessarily. With a season premiere, it's always nice to have a surprise, right? I think that'd be a good way to set the tone also. So, yeah, I'd hope so.
I would have Kenta show up at the end and just attack CM Punk to set up their match.
Still on that dream, bro. Still on that dream.
It's happening, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, the card, of course, been over it a couple of times now. We are expecting Miro to have a squash match, I think. Who knows what poor soul they'll feed to him. Hopefully he gets set up in a storyline after this, or like Joe said, gives a proper mission statement, you know. But like I said, I'm looking for season premiere, proper vibes, you know, and just some identity, you know. Hopefully CM Punk knocks it out of the park with his opening promo like you'd expect it to have, and of course the trios match at the end. Hopefully that delivers, you know. But yeah, man, there's the card, and obviously Joe, we spoke about it yesterday, so I kind of know where you're at with it. But I wanted to see where Manny and Charlie are at with kind of like the brand split. Like, where do you think it's actually going to go? Like, do you think it'll eventually develop into a hard brand split, or do you think it'll be more free flowing, or do you think it will be none of the above? Like, where do you think it's going to go in terms of how Tony Khan used to quote hard split or no hard lines drawn, you know? But how hard do you think these lines are going to get? You know, I'll start with the Hooper.
I really don't think there's going to be a hard brand split. I think Tony saw the outrage about the brand split, and I think he's just going to keep it free flowing, and he's not going to put himself in a box to make himself look dumb eventually, where he's going to have people go in between each show because of some certain houses aren't drawing. So I think he's going to play it safe and not have any hard split between just the Elite and Punk.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a real possibility, to be honest. Charlie, where do you seem to sit with the potential roster split? Do you think it's happening? Do you think it's not happening? Do you think it's somewhere in between? Where are you at?
I think there's going to be some superstars that you'll notice that they don't go over to the other shows like as often as some superstars do. Like, because I feel like wrestlers do. I feel like there's going to be a real distinction between those who are like mainstays on each show and who are like kind of floating in between and doing double duty and things like that, which I feel like is the best way to approach it. I don't think like a hard brand split should be the way they should go, like at all. But I feel like there's going to be some people that are like definitely more involved on both shows than others.
Yeah, I tend to agree with both of you in kind of in some way. It's just it's already out there now, like the idea of a brand split, you know. So like people are gonna look at certain things a certain way, you know, like we've mentioned before on these podcasts about like how Rampage just felt like its own universe at times, you know. But of course that weren't brand split. People weren't talking about brand split. There weren't reports of brand split then. There weren't all this tension in the locker room back then. So like say for example, if one storyline gets a couple of consistent weeks on Collision, and it's not even intentional, you know, or something like that. Like they might be on Dynamite the next week. People will definitely like put a magnifying glass over it.
Yeah.
You know, and already seeing people kind of forming their alliances of either, you know, either pledging allegiance to Dynamite or Collision. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one in terms of all that sort of stuff. Joe, you got anything to add on that? Because obviously we spoke about it yesterday as well.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where at this point we need to just see what looks like execution, right? Like the key, whether you do an actual brand split or not, the key is that the guys who are currently not being utilized much, their usage goes up, and they can be on Wednesdays or Saturdays. It's just that's the most important thing. I do think there are positives to a brand split, as I've said before. I never liked the circumstances that were making this one appear likely ever. I thought it was a bad idea, and so. In this particular, situation, I think they'd be well served to kind of, you could define the shows by their top guys, but I don't think it would be a good idea to like draw a line. I think with the way this has come about, you're already kind of threatening to do that. I wouldn't lean into it much personally, but
yeah,
it'll be interesting. I mean, ultimately, you need star power on both shows, and that is the most important thing. Then it's about getting the underneath guys more time on TV. And if you achieve both of those, that's more important than whether there's a split or not. You know, like that's way more important.
Part of me just hopes that they get the ball rolling on the show because Tony Khan is fighting an uphill, and CM Punk are battling an uphill battle already with the perception of the show because, I mean, everybody already knows that Tony Khan already gives up on other projects right away. Just like look what happened to Rampage, all the Darks, Ring of Honor, and all that stuff. Like, if he doesn't put his foot down and just make this product good, a lot of people are going to be questioning whether, like, if he has it in him and all that. Because, like, how do you keep making all these empty promises about all these A shows and you just kind of just give up on them and all that because of ratings? And I also don't think we're reaching the end of CM Punk on Dynamite. I think he's going to do both eventually, and the Elite will do. Whenever he's on Dynamite, I think the Elite will do Collision. But man, I'm telling you right now, if Collision's a good show, man, I'm going to get nasty on that timeline.
We know.
We know.
We absolutely
take victory laps.
I will say,
get a Collision tattoo. Go crazy.
That'd be incredible. Last night we talked a lot about the rollout, and obviously we're super close now, so those critiques stand. But I did like the couple promos we got on this show in that regard. I thought they did a nice job. I thought, in fear of going full Charlie here, the famed Bullet Club Gold act is like, I think I'm on board with this. I think I like Juice Robinson now. This is my news bulletin. First time I've said those words since I believe 2018. I'm back. This act, their promo dynamic is legitimately awesome because Jay cuts the promo and Juice is just Juice. At all times he's on it. Yeah, it's incredible. It's like it's the way that Mark would chip in back in the day with Jay Briscoe. Mark Briscoe he'd always have the quips, and you wouldn't know who to look at sometimes. It's obviously not to that level. How could it be? No one can be, but that's the way. Like Juice is like. He's absurd. I mean, we don't have enough wrestlers that just appear to be truly insane anymore. So I like this act. They did a hell of a job in the promo with this deal. Really good stuff.
I do have a question for y'all. How do you guys feel about when people do these deep thoughts on Collision? It just ends up being like
these deep thoughts.
Like, I mean, I've seen a lot of threads that people talk about Collision, and it ends up being, I feel like, disingenuous because it ends up just being like fuck CM Punk. Like it ended up just being a CM Punk think piece and all that.
What
Everyone
thoughts we
has
talking
their
about?
agendas.
What are we talking about specifically? Because I like what actual takes we talking about here.
Well, I don't know. I just see people talking about, maybe this isn't good for AEW and all that, and I just seen a whole bunch of stuff, and like people just complaining about Collision, and it shouldn't be a thing, and then it just all ends up being like, we don't know if CM Punk's a real draw. If CM Punk is this, he's probably ruining the company and all that. And I don't know. I just think it's weird, that people aren't really having like real thoughts about Collision. It's just like, fuck CM Punk.
People being disingenuous on Twitter. Jesus.
Yeah,
I could never guess. Like, that's what people do, bro. Like, they disguise their takes in other takes that make them feel like they're commenting on the, on the topical thing of the day. So people are just like fuck CM Punk, then they'll disguise those takes in in a pile of all Collision bad, Collision not good idea, Collision this, Collision that. Because there is definitely real criticisms of it, but like again, a lot of it's disingenuous. So he's got to talk to a lot of people.
And I've said this a million times at this point, but like I don't think it's unfair to say that in terms of their momentum as a promotion, this is probably not the ideal time for another TV show, right? It doesn't feel like they have the momentum right now where it's like, man, people are desperate for another 2 hours. So I think you're allowed to say that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also
100%.
You're also more than entitled to say, I don't care for the show, I'm not excited for the show. That's obviously not the case for myself. I'm super fired up for it. But, I agree with you, Manny, but, that's just is what it is. But people get that shit about everything at this point. It's the way that, it is what it is.
Yeah, literally. That's just... Yeah, Twitter being Twitter. That's what that sounds like to me, to be honest. All right, so let's talk about the ticket sales a bit. Of course, we touched on it again yesterday, because of course Tony Khan was fresh out of those interviews. The tickets, they're ass. They're not good, man. Like, some of them below. Well, one of them's below 1,000. One of them's just over 1,000, and in general, they're not looking great. Judging from the interview that was released yesterday with Pollock and Thurston, it seems like Tony's mindset is, we're gonna hit a home run with this AEW Collision debut, and that will help us boost these ticket sales. And it also seems like he's going to be somewhat reliant on the Owen Cup announcements and having matches on those shows, because he did mention that Owen Cup matches will be taking place on Collision. So it seems like those are the two main factors that, despite these pretty poor ticket sales in Canada for Collision, those are going to be the two things that he leans on. So yeah, hopefully he hits a home run, and hopefully these Owen Hart Cup matches are draws and the stuff that people are really interested in and want to see. But other than that, Joe, do you think there's anything else that they could do to boost these sales a bit, man? Or do you think it's too late now?
A couple of them are lost causes. It's like, even salvaging some of these, you're not going to have a good house, Like, it just is what it is. And as we talked about yesterday, a couple of them are victims of like scheduling and that stuff kind of being stagnation. And that's why I think, honestly, the biggest indicator of Collision in a range of ways is where we're at in 3 months. How are they drawing as their own entity then? How is the show? What's the show's perception? And more importantly, what's the show's quality like? Are we going to have an immediate drop off if it doesn't rate well? Or are we going to, is it going to remain an A show? So yeah, that's the main thing to me. But a couple of these shows, they're just not good houses. I mean, it's what it is. They're close enough at this point to conclude, I think. So we'll hopefully things will go up from there.
I think what's now helping the show is that most of these were house shows right before they turned into Collision. And the tickets are expensive.
They did announce it was the house show tour.
Yeah, so I think that's what kind of fucked them up too at the same time, like announcing these as house shows. And then I don't think the perception would be as bad as if the tickets weren't as expensive and they ran smaller venues. The perception is bad because they're running huge buildings that that would be like for like some pay-per-views. I know they're running the old Air Canada Center. There's a whole bunch of big venues. If they just ran smaller ones like they do sometimes for Dynamite, this wouldn't be such an issue.
Sure.
They're running 3 TV tapings and a pay-per-view in Ontario in 2 different venue places that are within an hour's drive of each other. They're not even opposite sides of the province, which really baffled me because why would you schedule it like that? Anyone that would go to the Hamilton one's just going to go to Toronto because that's where Forbidden Door is.
Yeah.
I'm so baffled.
It's so, and that's honestly the biggest factor of all this. Is just like it doesn't make much sense to go to some of these shows.
Yeah, it's like
it's bizarre.
Yeah, that's go on,
if you can
Charlie.
go to the Toronto Collision the day before, like a big pay-per-view, and then be in town for the pay-per-view, why the fuck would you then go to the one like the Thursday taping? Like,
that's what I mean. I don't think there's an angle you could shoot on Saturday show that's going to make people do it. I think it's just that show will be what it will be at this point, unfortunately. The production teams have to get very creative. But I will say to Manny's, I would like to know what the motivation for that recent shift has been, because once upon a time, AEW would always run those smaller buildings, and then there was a shift. I don't know when it happened because I don't follow these things closely, but it feels like they try to run the NBA buildings now, and it's like they have to do the deal where they cut off like half the building. I don't know. I always think it's like it used to be cool when they run more quirky places,
because they used to run the college, the college teams, a basketball arena. So I mean, it's just weird stuff.
And I guess this kind of touches on to the final thing I want to talk about. It's kind of just like the rollout and the promotion of it. Like we've just talked about like how the tour's been set up. Like, let's just say it hasn't been optimal. It doesn't seem like, especially like some of the things that Charlie was mentioning with like the Canada tour, it's just like some of it just doesn't seem that well thought out. And of course, like the promotion to it, like we only got like besides the main event, we only got some more of the card last night, which is of course fair to say that's pretty late in the game. And just like in general, like the promotion of it just being kind of here's your Miro Andrades and CM Punks and Thunder Rosas on a flyer, and then a few more flyers, and not really that much else in terms of like real proper like promo packages and build to the card to like we're heading into a season premiere. We're heading into a brand new 2-hour show on national television weekly, and it just doesn't, to me at least, it doesn't really feel like that. So I just want to get your guys' thoughts on like I said, the rollout and the promotion of this new show. I'll start with you, Charlie.
It's just been weird. Like, I think them trying to roll it out, like, off the back of Double or Nothing, and then having Forbidden Door build mixed in all of that, it's just not put them in a good position with it. Like, fair. It kind of feels like this came at, like, the worst possible time for them to, like, be trying to, like, build the season premiere of a show whilst building one of their biggest pay-per-views of the year and keeping Dynamite and Rampage on track. Like, there's a whole lot going on for them, and I don't know that it's been, like, that much of a success, like, the rollout of it. But the people that are, like, excited for it will be excited for it, and they'll tune in, and I think they will pop a number with the first show, and I hope that the first show is just good enough that they can keep that up, so...
I think it's so weird to me because I feel like they've had the show planned already for months. Like, they know this is what the lineup's going to be. And instead of building up to it, they just kind of said Tony's just going to build to it on pay-per-view. No, on Dynamites. And that was going to be the build. I would have had, we've all known CM Punk was going to come back already for like 3 weeks now, right? They announced it. Yeah, I would have had him do sit-downs or something on the show. And I guess you don't want him to ruin the first pop or whatever because he's not there. But I would have had sit-downs with Joe or Jay or FTR. Do something because they knew they were going to do Andrade, buddy. Have them do a sit down or have them cut promos about why they're doing it or something. I mean, I would have been building more to it. It just seemed like he waited till like the last day of the assignment. When you're trying to do your homework or whatever, and you have to get your project done. He's like, "Fuck! Oh, I forgot I have to do this," and just put it out there for everybody to see on Dynamite because the package was awesome. He did with CM Punk. Yeah. And CM Punk looked like he was ready to go. So I wish they just did more of that instead of making it seem like Tony forgetting that, oh, crap, I have to do Collision. So here's this quick vignette of CM Punk doing something cool. So,
yeah, I'll hear you definitely. Hulbert, where do you find yourself with this rollout and promotion of this new show that they're doing?
I think it's just been jumbled because I think they've changed their mind multiple times on like how they want to do it. I think there was definitely an initial thought of, repeating the first dance with like will he, won't he, you maybe name it. What was the trademark? They got the second coming.
Yeah.
Trademark, right? I think that was their initial read, and then they decided they wanted to announce Punk. And then I think they had an idea of the angle they were going to shoot to make the main event make sense, and things changed on that angle. And so they ended up just announcing the main event without any angle whatsoever and being like, yep, Joe's in there, and it's been jumbled. Like, it's one of those things where, I'm pretty much a perfect encapsulation of what Charlie was saying, because I was always probably going to be excited anyway, and here I am. Like, I've just convinced myself. I think they certainly could do a much better job of not, leaving the sickos to kind of make up the difference. I think from a promotional point of view, everyone has had good points in terms of how they could have added some spice to this, added some gravity and jeopardy to some of the matches. But ultimately, I'm obviously going to be tuned in. So I think a lot of people will be, honestly, relative. I'm not saying it's going to be like some absurd number, but I think AEW's audience is so like tuned in anyway that I think they'll be okay. And that's often the case, right? Their audience is so hardcore and so switched on that I think they'll be all right, even though I think they could have done a way better job of actually promoting what they've got here.
Yeah, I don't understand why everybody is known for like a week already that this show's coming. I don't know why Tony tried to make this like secretive and didn't let anybody know like what was the deal with the show. Like we have everything we've gone out about a Collision has just been secondhand. We never heard from like Tony about what Collision is, and I think what's ruined the perception of Collision already is everybody's on social media's headcanon about what the show is going to be. Instead of, I think the perception of the show would have been a lot different if Tony Khan and everybody involved in the show just came out and said what it was and what it was going to be.
I agree, but I think you can easily overcome that. Like, people online will think what they think. That's just the way it goes. Like, but if you do the show at a certain level with a certain feel, I think you can quickly rewrite that perception. I agree with you, it's not ideal, but it's also very much the niche within the niche, one of those situations, right? Like, I do think there are a lot of people who watch Dynamite, they're just like, oh, cool, Punk's wrestling. And we'll see, I guess, with the number, how big an audience that is, but they need to make a good first impression, regardless of what you think. Even if you think the rollout's been a home run, it goes without saying they have to have a hit with the first episode. So that's the big question now.
But it's been definitely an interesting rollout. Of course, the card is another thing, and we've talked about the ticket sales. I think it's fair to say, like, most of us here, most AEW fans in general, to be honest, are pretty fired up for this one. But there is definitely some things to be desired about it, which is, to be honest, kind of criticisms of like the way they've built to it and kind of not establishing what it's going to be. Like Manny was just touching on, there's already some kind of I don't want to call them blatant red flags or anything, but there's some minor warning signals there, and there's definitely going to be some interested eyes on this show on Saturday, for better or for worse. So, I guess all we can do now is just kind of wait and see how it goes. Like we've got a card, we got the card yesterday. We've got a card. We kind of know where the tickets are roughly going to be. If I guess if they get like a strong walk up or strong last day, which Chicago, it wouldn't be the craziest thing to assume. They could probably hit 10K. Just wait and see how it all plays out. Hopefully, we're not disappointed. Hopefully it's it's a nice alternative within the alternative. Something that feels a bit different. You get me? So we'll see how that all plays out. Let's do some super chats. Also, people, please like, subscribe. Super chats are always appreciated, but please make sure you're smashing that like button, because if you're here, you're logged into a YouTube account, it only takes you half a second, and we massively appreciate it. So hit that like button, pretty please. Super chats. Devil's Rising. Thoughts on Punk ducking Kenta? Just more quick take on it would be that if this was a few years ago, like literally even just a few years ago, then maybe I'd feel a bit different about it, But at the minute, I can't really say I blame him, to be honest. Like if I'm seeing Punk, like the idea of wrestling Kenta now wouldn't excite me that much at all, to be honest. But it's for the real ones. It's one of those matches. Like it'll pop me if it does actually happen. It's just not something like I'm dying to see. And I think Punk realizes that as well. But yeah, do any of you guys have any thoughts on Punk? Apparently, I believe reportedly, kind of just not being interested in this.
It's very interesting that this report came about. To be honest, right? Like, it's kind of weird to me because generally when we get reports like that, it's because we're veering in that direction. There was an immediate talk, like everyone heard it. There was an immediate talk when this report came out of Punk's not so sure. So I don't know if that was like some fun and games. If so, real grabs, to be clear. I'm not, I endorse this behavior. I don't know. It's hard to say because I don't know his reason for it. Like, I don't think they're. I'll put it this way: I do not think Kenta's online shenanigans have been an elaborate, shared, performance art. I think it's pretty one-sided, and Punk maybe feels some way about that, which would not be a surprise. So, yeah, I don't know.
I'm not even going to entertain this. I think it's happening.
Jack Grealish, $2. What's discourse mean? Just a good old discussion, mate. Discussion, debate. That's there you are, mate. Genghis Khan, it's a new one. $5. A man falls 7 times and rises 8 times. Wardlow's time will come. Good one. Genghis Khan, $2. Y'all think my nephew will be on Forbidden Door? I doubt it. And again, good one. Showtime Spurs, $5. I'm going to Collision. Happy to hear. They just announced Kiera Hogan and Athena Street Fight will be taped there, and it's now honestly the best match of the night. Wow.
Well,
all right, bro. Do you know what I mean? All right, bro. I hope you have a good time anyway. 55222, $10. I'm going to the Collision show the day after the ROH pay-per-view. I just want the show to feel different. Very fair, mate. Obviously, we just touched on all that. Just don't book the same people from Wednesday that week and just feel different from Dynamite. I'm with you for, a very, very fair way to feel going into a show like that, especially, with, some, like I said, some of the very, let's not call them red flags, we'll call them amber flags, very, very minor little things that if you are going to be a pessimist. Oh, that's not really the same thing, is it, bro? If you are like a pessimist, and there is definitely things that you can look at and kind of, I guess, get worried about. But, like I was just saying, Friday, we'll definitely have a better idea of what we're going to be dealing with, and as the coming weeks and months unfold. All right, man. Again, smash that like button, people. Need those likes up. Get them up. We've been on here for nearly 3 hours. Maybe a bit too long, but sometimes you just got to do the Broadway, and we did the damn thing. All right, let's wrap it up. What do I want to wrap up with? All right. We have on Purists tomorrow, of course, as we do every Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. The only time that changes is when Tony Khan fucks us with his Rampage scheduling, which is always very annoying. But as far as I believe, it's normal time tomorrow. So 6 p.m. Eastern on Purists Podcast. Sunday, Ibu's AEW Collision review. I believe Israel will be on that with him as well. I'm not 100% no, but Ibu and friends will be reviewing Collision and doing kind of like his weekly spot where, where Backup Hangman can kind of, he can kind of just talk his shit, man. It's always people always gonna feel kind of way about it, I guess. Some people may feel one way, some people may feel another, and on WrestlePurists Worldwide, you get a little bit of it, but sometimes sometimes I might have to stop him, sometimes I might have to put a stop to his before he goes too far on a tangent or something. Well, Sunday is where Ibu can cook, and if you like what Ibu cooks, which I know is a lot of people, that's why he's got such a good following, etc., then that's where you're going to see him this weekly now that Collision's here and it's starting. Ibu every Sunday. Get used to it. But yeah, like, subscribe. Appreciate all the super chats from my people. We have the best live chat in the game. And Charlie, you got anything you want to plug?
I've got a feature that will hopefully come out before I go to Canada for Forbidden Door. Follow me on Twitter if you're interested in finding out more about that. I'll probably be tweeting about it a whole lot in the coming week or so because it's going to be a big one. It's going to be an exciting trip. Lots of exciting things about that. And I am going to the Collision taping for that. So
Beautiful stuff. We hope you have a great time. Manny, you got anything you want to plug or announce?
No, man, I'm just chilling. Yeah, I'll be around.
Beautiful stuff. Beautifully said. Hulbert, talk to the people.
I would like to formally congratulate Chris and Dukes of the Late Night Grin, who last night graduated from their Young Lion status, the first official graduates, the LNG Dojo. So shout out to them. And speaking of the Late Night Grin, we'll be live on Saturday night immediately after Collision, because that piece of shit Jack Crosby forced me to do that at 3 a.m. I don't know why I agreed to it, but we're going live at that time. As soon as Collision ends, join us on Twitch for Late Night Grin. I may pop up on Ibu's show. I don't know what kind of house he's looking at there, but I mean, it sounds like it could do pretty good. So I may make an appearance. But that's all, mate. Hope everyone enjoyed this and enjoys it's a fun time. I will say this. Ibu said some crazy things today. I don't want to co-sign all of them, but I think we can all co-sign. Enjoy this time. This is a fun time.
It was a long time ago as well. We're talking like nearly 2 hours. 2 hours, 30 minutes ago, Ibu was saying some really weird things.
It's not always like this, you know. It's a good time, so make the most of it and have fun with it, because there's a lot of good stuff going on.
Absolutely. Big week.
Oh, I do have something to plug, actually.
Go on, hurry up.
Follow me on Twitch, Manantonio3298. I became a streamer.
Wonderful.
How did that go for you, Manny?
Well, it's, you know, I mean,
you sure you don't want to talk about it?
Well, I got smoked by one of the young lions. Both, I mean, in 2 games back to back by like 50 points. So,
well, as long as you're trying, you know. But yeah, of course, one last time, please smash that like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already, especially if you've been with us for nearly 3 hours and you haven't subscribed. Then I would have to question what the fuck you're doing, you know. And of course, we appreciate all the super chats. WrestlePurists.com. And yeah, man. Peace out, everyone. Thanks for watching.